Chapter 4184. Roar. The demon of the third great supreme god layer roared. His energy was violent as he dashed towards Lu Ming. The terrifying pressure made Lu Ming's body tense. A third great supreme god layer cultivator was definitely strong. When Lu Ming had broken through to the ninth godly emperor layer in the great ancient world, he had relied on the mysterious ice staff to fight against a third great supreme god layer cultivator. Now, Lu Ming was not using any external force. He was just relying on his own strength. His body trembled and all the cells in his body vibrated. A dazzling light enveloped Lu Ming. He used all kinds of secret techniques and threw a punch. Boom! Their attacks collided, creating a violent shockwave that swept in all directions. Afterward, Lu Ming's body shook and he could not help but retreat continuously. He retreated continuously for more than 10 steps before he steadied himself. As for the demon, his body only swayed a little. Then, he continued to attack Lu Ming. My strength is not enough, Lu Ming's heart jumped. He realized that his strength was slightly weaker than his opponent's. He was at a disadvantage in the previous exchange. Let's try a few more moves. Lu Ming whispered. He dashed out and engaged in a fierce battle with the other party. Boom! 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 The two figures continued to fight in the air. The battle was extremely intense. In the blink of an eye, they had exchanged more than a dozen moves. However, Lu Ming was still at a disadvantage. He was forced back with each move. After a dozen moves, he was forced back a few thousand meters. He felt numb all over and blood flowed out from the corner of his mouth. Then, let's try the battle character art to increase my fighting strength by 7 times. Boom! Lu Ming's body rumbled and the battle character art glowed in his sea of consciousness. Lu Ming had activated the battle character art to increase his fighting strength by 7 times. Lu Ming had already cultivated the battle character art to the peak and he could achieve a 100% success rate. Later on, Lu Ming would cultivate the battle character art to increase his fighting strength by 7 times. Although he spent most of his time cultivating the ancient secret technique in the Blessings Tower, he would occasionally take some time to comprehend the battle character manual. Now, he had successfully cultivated the battle character incantation, which increased his combat power by 7 times. Although it wasn't a 100% success rate, it could still succeed once out of 10 times. In the previous battle, Lu Ming had been trying to trigger the battle formula to increase his combat strength by 7 times. Now, he had finally succeeded. After activating the battle character secret art, Lu Ming charged at his opponent again, and the two of them exchanged a blow. Boom! There was another violent explosion, and then, a figure quickly retreated. It was still Lu Ming. The one who retreated was still Lu Ming. The situation had not changed in the slightest. What happened? Lu Ming's expression changed. Previously, when he had fought against the demon of the third great supreme god layer, Lu Ming had been at a disadvantage. That was how strong he was. In the Divine Emperor realm, he could fight someone who was 9 levels higher than him. A total of 9 levels. If news of this spread, people would be scared to death. After all, the candidates of the Universe Genius list could only fight someone who was 4 levels higher than them. Those who could fight someone who was 5 levels higher than them were already unparalleled in the world. For example, Battle God Yuan 1. And Lu Ming was now 9 levels higher than him. However, between the 9th Great Supreme God layer and the 3rd Great Supreme God layer, there should be a difference of 10 levels. That was why Lu Ming was at a disadvantage. He originally thought that after activating the battle character secret art, his combat strength would increase and he would be able to contend with his opponent. However, after activating the battle character secret art, he realized that the situation had not changed at all. He could only fight someone who was 9 levels higher than him. What was going on? Lu Ming was puzzled. Continue. Lu Ming continued to use his full strength and charged at the demon. The two sides continued to fight fiercely. However, in the following battle, he was still completely suppressed and was at a disadvantage. He was no match for his opponent. Every time they collided, he was forced to retreat. Lu Ming judged that his combat strength had always been at the level where he could fight someone who was 9 levels higher than him. He withdrew 7 times his combat strength and maintained 6 times his combat strength, which was the same as 7 times his combat strength. Or, if he used 7 times his combat strength and left some forbidden power, he would still be able to fight someone who was 9 levels higher than him. Could it be that fighting someone who is 9 levels higher than me is the limit? Lu Ming thought. After many attempts, the facts proved that this was the case. Lu Ming had also speculated that the forbidden body could not be improved infinitely. There should be a limit. Now, it proved that Lu Ming's speculation was right. There really was a limit. In the Divine Emperor realm, fighting someone who was 9 levels higher than him was the limit. It was impossible to fight someone who was 10 levels higher than him. Even if Lu Ming merged more secret talismans, his combat strength would probably reach its limit. It would be impossible for him to improve any further. After a while, after many attempts, Lu Ming was sure that his limit was 9 levels higher than him. Almost there. Lu Ming thought and stopped fighting. He retreated and decided to leave. He had come to the virtual evil demon canyon to test his combat strength. Now that he had tested it, there was no need for him to stay. However, the demon of the third great supreme god layer did not give up. He roared furiously and charged at Lu Ming. Annoying. Lu Ming frowned. The Bingxian rod appeared in his hands and he smashed it toward the demon. With a bang, the demon exploded, turning into energy and disappearing. Instant kill. Lu Ming could barely compete with a third great supreme god layer cultivator with his current combat strength. Now that he took out the mysterious ice rod, of course, he could instantly kill the demon. After that, Lu Ming left the virtual evil demon canyon without any hindrance and returned to his residence. Shua. When Lu Ming neared the residence, a black spear gleam pierced toward Lu Ming. It was astonishingly fast and its attack power was astonishingly strong. Lu Ming did not hesitate and threw a punch. Dang! Lu Ming's fist collided with the black spear light. In the next moment, Lu Ming's body shook violently. He felt a mountain toppling and ocean surging power. Lu Ming was forced to retreat. So strong. Qiuqiu is so strong, Lu Ming was not surprised. He was happy and smiled. He knew Qiuqiu too well. He did not need to look to know that it was Qiuqiu who had just attacked him. Qiuqiu's attack power had surpassed his. As expected, a round ball rushed out. It was Qiuqiu. He circled around Lu Ming and shouted, "Lu Ming, how is it? Am I strong now? I've finally surpassed you." Ha ha ha. Qiuqiu laughed loudly and proudly. "Qiuqiu, you've broken through to the great supreme god layer." "No, it's more than that." Lu Ming looked at Qiuqiu carefully. His eyes opened wider and wider. He realized that Qiuqiu had not only broken through to the great supreme god layer, but his cultivation had also surpassed the first great supreme god layer. He had actually reached the third great supreme god layer. He had not seen Qiuqiu for 200 years. Qiuqiu's cultivation had increased so much. Chapter 4185. Qiuqiu had the strength of the third great supreme god layer, so he could kill cultivators of the fourth great supreme god layer. No wonder he had been sent flying by Qiuqiu. Qiuqiu hadn't used his full strength. Of course. 200 years ago, you gave me those treasures and I was about to break through. As expected, I broke through not long after. In the past 200 years, I've been refining those treasures and my cultivation has advanced by leaps and bounds. I've reached the third great supreme god layer and learned a few powerful secret techniques. Qiu smiled, showing his sharp fangs. Lu Ming was really happy. Last time, he had exchanged so many broken weapons for Qiu. It had been worth it. Now, Qiu would definitely be a great help to him. Besides, he only knew that Qiu's cultivation had advanced a lot, but he didn't know whether Qiu's ability to fight against people with higher cultivation levels had improved. According to Qiu's experience of refining the broken spear, Qiu's ability to fight against people with higher cultivation levels should have improved. That way, Qiu's fighting strength would be even more unpredictable. However, the stronger Qiu was, the better. Qiu has reached the third great supreme god layer. I'm still stuck at the ninth great supreme god layer. I need to find a way to break through. Lu Ming frowned. He had a strong sense of urgency. Before, Lu Ming didn't feel much urgency because his fighting strength could continue to improve. But now, he couldn't. His fighting strength had reached the limit. No matter how much he cultivated, he could only fight against people with higher cultivation levels. He couldn't improve anymore. How could Lu Ming not feel a sense of urgency? If he didn't break through now, he would be wasting time and others would catch up to him. For example, Qiu's cultivation level was much higher than his. The other geniuses would also improve by leaps and bounds if they had a fortuitous encounter. If I want to break through, I need to go out and gain experience. I'll go to the Heavenly Palace and see if there are any missions. I can complete them while gaining experience. I can also earn some merit points, Lu Ming thought. After making up his mind, Lu Ming left to see if there were any suitable missions. But halfway there, Lu Ming stopped and took out his identity medallion. Because he had just received a message from his identity medallion. There's a mission, what a coincidence, Lu Ming was slightly stunned. He was rather surprised. This was because the Heavenly Palace's higher-ups had sent a message to Lu Ming from the identity token. It had to be said that this was very coincidental. Lu Ming had just come out of seclusion not long ago, and just as he was about to go and accept a mission came. According to the quest, Lu Ming arrived at a large square. When Lu Ming arrived, he saw a group of people gathered in the square. These people were divided into groups of about 10 people each. They are all first-class heavenly soldier. Lu Ming discovered that almost all of these people were wearing golden heavenly soldier armor. They were all first-rate heavenly soldier-s. Most of the first-grade heavenly soldiers were at the God the Arch realm. There were about 12 first-class heavenly soldier-s in a batch. In front of a group of first-rate heavenly soldier-s stood a figure wearing purple gold battle armor. Divine General. The one in the violet gold armor was a Divine General. In front of a Divine General stood 12 first-rate heavenly soldier-s. Lu Ming looked over and saw at least a dozen batches of first-rate heavenly soldier-s. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. What kind of mission was this that required so many experts? More than a dozen batches of people, all first-rate heavenly soldiers or divine generals. This was more than 100 divine emperor experts. You, come here, over here. When Lu Ming arrived, a divine general swept his gaze over Lu Ming and waved at Lu Ming. Lu Ming flew over and found that there were only 9 heavenly soldiers in front of the divine general. Lu Ming landed in the middle of the 9 first-rate heavenly soldiers. No one said anything, and they waited quietly. Lu Ming didn't say anything either. Although he didn't know the details of the mission, he believed that he would have an answer in a while. As time passed, more and more people came. Soon, 12 first-rate heavenly soldiers were gathered in Lu Ming's group. Not only that, but there were also divine generals and other first-rate heavenly soldiers. In the end, a total of 18 teams were gathered. Each team was made up of 1 divine general and 12 first-rate heavenly soldiers. Alright, almost everyone is here. Now, let me tell you about the next mission. At this moment, one of the divine generals spoke. Lu Ming could tell that the divine general was from the heavenly human tribe. Only 2 of the 18 divine generals were from the heavenly human tribe. The status of the heavenly human tribe's divine general was naturally higher than the others. Everyone looked at the divine general of the heavenly human tribe, waiting for him to continue. Next, our mission is to hunt down the traitor. The divine general of the heavenly human tribe said. Hunt down the traitor? Is there a traitor in the heavenly palace? Everyone was shocked, and each of them revealed a look of surprise. During the heavenly palace era, the heavenly palace ruled the primitive universe, and there were very few traitors. That was because once there was a traitor, it was equivalent to courting death. They couldn't escape the heavenly palace's pursuit. We're willing to serve the heavenly palace with our lives. A first-rate heavenly soldier shouted. He was already flattering the divine general. However, most of them remained silent. Very well. The traitor we're going to hunt down is called Divine Lord Dream Void, the heavenly human tribe's divine general continued. What? Divine Lord? He's a divine lord. Heavens, aren't we courting death by hunting down a divine lord? Before the heavenly human tribe's divine general could say anything, someone shouted in shock. Even if the others didn't say anything, they still inhaled sharply. They looked shocked. The traitor this time was actually a divine master. Moreover, if they were to hunt down a divine lord, would they not be courting death? They were only god emperors. No matter how many of them there were, they would still die if they faced a divine lord. What's the rush? Do you think we don't know how powerful a divine lord is? Isn't it a joke to ask you to hunt down a divine lord? The heavenly human tribe's divine general shouted coldly. The others calmed down. Indeed, it was impossible for the heavenly palace to allow them to pursue and kill divine masters, because it would be completely useless, other than sending them to their deaths. Even among divine lord experts, Divine Lord Dream Void is an extremely powerful existence. However, we don't have to worry about that. Divine Lord Dream Void will naturally have a corresponding expert to deal with him. Our target is Divine Lord Dream Void's disciples. Although Divine Lord Dream Void's disciples don't have very high cultivation bases, they're all extremely talented. We can't let them go. Do you understand? The heavenly human tribe's divine general said. Understood. The others replied and sighed in relief. If it was just Divine Lord Dream Void's disciples, it was still fine. This time, we're not the only ones hunting down Divine Lord Dream Void. There are others as well. We're mainly going to surround some routes and not let them escape. Divine Lord Dream Void has brought a few disciples and is heading toward the Burning Heart Star Zone. We'll depart immediately and head there. The heavenly human tribe's divine general said. Understood. The others replied. Chapter 4186. The Burning Heart Star Zone was an extremely high-level star zone. It was vast and boundless, more than 100 times larger than the Iron Sea Star Zone. During this time, all the wormholes in the Burning Heart Star Zone had been sealed off by the experts of the Heavenly Palace. Lu Ming and the others spread out in the Burning Heart Star Zone, each team guarding a direction and slowly encircling the core area. As soon as God Lord Dream Void and her disciples appeared, they would charge forward and annihilate them. At this moment, in the northern region of the Burning Heart Star Zone, several figures were rapidly flying. There were 4 of them, all of them women. One of them was a middle-aged woman, and the other 3 were young women. If Lu Ming were here, he would definitely be stunned. This was because one of the 3 young women was none other than Qiu Autumn Moon. Qiu Autumn Moon was one of God Lord Dream Void's disciples. The middle-aged woman was none other than God Lord Dream Void. God Lord Dream Void was extremely powerful. She used a beam of energy to carry her 3 disciples through the void at a speed faster than teleportation. Countless planets were left behind. However, God Lord Dream Void's expression was still grave. She knew that her whereabouts had been exposed, and the Heavenly Palace would definitely send a large number of experts to kill them. Whether or not they could escape was another matter. My 3 disciples, I've implicated all of you this time. God Lord Dream Void sighed as she flew. No, Master, what are you saying? Master's will is our will. If not for Master, I would have died long ago. Senior sister is right. Since the Heavenly Palace is so despicable, we naturally don't need to serve them. It's normal for us to leave. We will definitely support Master. Chiao Autumn Moon and the other 2 nodded repeatedly, expressing their support for God Lord Dream Void. Good disciple. However, the danger this time is unpredictable. If you encounter any mishap, try your best to escape. Don't worry about me. Especially you, Chiao Yu. You have a very important mission. Nothing must happen to you. You must be able to rush to that place, you must hurry. Master, Autumn Moon's eyes were slightly red. To be honest, when God Lord Dream Void forcefully brought Autumn Moon to the Heavenly Palace, Autumn Moon was disgusted and unwilling. Especially after she asked around and learned that Lu Ming was trapped on the Dragon Clan's home planet. She wanted to go to the Dragon Clan's mother planet to look for Lu Ming many times, but she was stopped by God Lord Dream Void. However, apart from this, God Lord Dream Void was indeed very good to her. He treated her like his own daughter and taught her everything he knew. He also gave her all kinds of treasures and resources. As time passed, Chiao Yu's resentment towards God Lord Dream Void naturally dissipated. After all, the human heart was made of flesh. You betrayed the Heavenly Palace and still want to escape? How naive. At this moment, a cold voice sounded. Then, the void shattered. A long spear pierced through the void and pierced towards Divine Lord Dream Void. Terrifying, incomparably terrifying. When the spear pierced out, it was as if it had pierced a hole in the entire universe. Around it, stars were annihilated one after another. Even a few stars were extinguished directly. This was the attack of a God Lord. It had the power to destroy the world. Divine Lord Dream Void's expression changed. Her body emitted a rainbow-colored light. Then, she pointed a finger. A rainbow-colored finger force burst out and collided with the long spear. Boom! It was as if the universe had exploded. A large area of the starry sky turned into chaos. Countless stars were annihilated under the terrifying force. Terrifying, incomparably terrifying. Fortunately, the nearby planets were not inhabited by life. Otherwise, that move just now would have annihilated countless living beings. Buzz! The long spear kept vibrating. It flew back and was caught by a large golden hand. Then, a burly figure stepped out of the void. He held a long spear in his hand. His golden hair fluttered in the wind. His terrifying aura made large areas of the starry sky tremble. On the other side, Divine Lord Dream Void's body swayed. At the same time, she used a rainbow-colored light to protect Chiao Yu and the other 2. If it were not for Divine Lord Dream Void's protection, the 3 of them would have died under the terrifying force. Yi Shen, Lord of Heaven, you came personally. Divine Lord Dream Void's expression changed when she saw the person in front of her. Her cold voice was filled with seriousness. Yi Shen, Lord of Heaven. Even among God Lords, he was very powerful. He was not weaker than her. Dream Void, why did you betray the Heavenly Palace? Did the Heavenly Palace mistreat you? Yi Shen, Lord of Heaven said coldly. His battle intent was wild. A terrifying aura spread out, causing the stars in the starry sky to tremble. Yi Shen, you should know better than anyone what the heavenly palace has done. You should know better than anyone what the heavenly palace treats the various races of the universe. Do you think I should continue to stay in the heavenly palace? Divine Lord Dream Void asked coldly. Yi Shen, Lord of Heaven's face darkened. It seems like you know a lot. If that's the case, I can't let you live. Dream Void, hand over the Master God's heart and I'll give you a quick death. Otherwise, you should know what the heavenly palace is capable of. If you want to fight, then let's fight. You want the Master God's heart? Impossible. Divine Lord Dream Void said coldly. As soon as she finished speaking, she took the initiative to step forward. The rainbow-colored light on her body became even more intense. Moreover, 3 of the lights were the most intense. They were thousands of times brighter than the sun. Dream Void Divine Finger. Divine Lord Dream Void said softly. She pointed a finger. A finger filled with rainbow-colored light formed. It was huge, even bigger than when it was formed. It crushed toward Yi Shen, Lord of Heaven. Wherever it passed, the void turned into chaos. Everything was turned into nothingness. Divine Lords were just too powerful. They were almost at the peak of the universe. Moreover, Divine Lord Dream Void was no ordinary Divine Lord. You're courting death. Yi Shen, Lord of Heaven said coldly. His body was shrouded by the terrifying power of the heavens. His spear was like a saber as it slashed down. The spear expanded rapidly. It traversed through the universe and collided with the rainbow-colored finger. Boom! There was an even more terrifying explosion. The void was completely annihilated. Nothing was left. Divine Lord Dream Void and Yi Shen, Lord of Heaven's bodies shook at the same time. Then, they started fighting again. At the same time, a force enveloped Qiu Yu and the other 2. With a toss, the 3 of them appeared billions of miles away. Let's go. Go to that place. Send the Master God's heart there. Divine Lord Dream Void's voice rang in the ears of Qiu Yu and the other 2. Master! Qiu Yu and the other 2 exclaimed. Their eyes were filled with tears and worry. Let's go. I'll be fine. You guys stay. I still have to take care of you. Let's go. This is my order. Divine Lord Dream Void shouted. Master, take care. You have to stay alive. Qiu Yu and the other 2 gritted their teeth and turned to leave. They also understood that if they stayed, they would be a burden to Divine Lord Dream Void. They would not be of any help. Chapter 4187. Godly Lord Dream Void and Yi Shen, the Lord of Heaven were fighting fiercely. Qiu Yu and the other 2 continued flying as fast as they could. At the same time, Lu Ming and the others also received the news. The traitor has appeared. Godly Lord Dream Void has been stopped by Yi Shen, the Lord of Heaven. Only her 3 disciples are left. Let's go. It's time for us to make a contribution, said the Divine General of Lu Ming's group. His eyes were shining brightly. That Divine General was one of the 2 Divine Generals of the Celestial Human clan that Lu Ming had seen before. He was extremely strong. Nobody doubted him. They followed the Divine General of the Celestial Human clan into a wormhole. A moment later, they appeared in a strange starry sky and quickly flew in a certain direction. They were all great supreme gods, so they were extremely fast. They were even faster than some short-distance teleportation portals. Normally, great supreme gods would carve short-distance teleportation portals on their bodies. They could activate the portals on their bodies to teleport a single person. However, when one reached the God Emperor realm, such a short-distance teleportation array carved on one's body would no longer be of much use. This was because God Emperor realm existences could break through the void and travel through space at full speed. Their speed was much faster than activating the short-distance teleportation array on their bodies. Not to mention, activating the teleportation portals on their bodies took time. They continued to move forward, leaving a large number of stars behind them. They crossed one galaxy after another. Boom! Boom! Suddenly, explosions sounded in front of them. Beams of light flashed and collided with each other. It was like a star had exploded, illuminating the sky. Even from far away, they could see it. We're here. Godly Lord Dream Void's disciples have been stopped. Let's kill them. Remember, they might have the Heavenly Palace's treasures. If we can get them, it'll be a great contribution. Celestial Clan's Divine General said, revealing an excited expression. He flew with all of his strength, his speed even faster, flying in that direction. The others also sped up. Fourth Great Supreme God Layer. Lu Ming was surprised. He could see that the Divine General of the Celestial Human Clan had the strength of the Fourth Great Supreme God Layer. Usually, ordinary godly generals had the strength of the Third Great Supreme God Layer. That guy had the strength of the Fourth Great Supreme God Layer, so he was an extremely strong cultivator. As for the other celestial soldiers, they had the strength of the First or Second Great Supreme God Layer. None of them had the strength of the Third Great Supreme God Layer. Lu Ming measured his combat strength. He was considered the strongest in this team. If he used his full strength, he wouldn't even be afraid of the immortal general of the heavenly human tribe. This thought only flashed through Lu Ming's mind. Soon, they approached the battlefield. They could already see the figures in the battle through the collision of the multicolored light. On the periphery was a group of heavenly soldiers and divine generals, numbering about 30. Lu Ming estimated that there should be 3 teams, 3 divine generals leading 36 first-class heavenly soldier. It was 3 young women who were besieged by the celestial soldiers and divine generals. When he saw one of the women, Lu Ming was shocked. Autumn Moon. Lu Ming almost cried out in surprise. Fortunately, he managed to hold it in. He had never thought that he would meet Autumn Moon here. He had never thought that Autumn Moon would be one of the people he wanted to kill. What a shitty mission. At this moment, Lu Ming directly forgot about the Heavenly Palace mission. He only had one thought in his mind, and that was to save Autumn Moon. Calm down. Lu Ming took a deep breath to calm himself down and analyze the situation. The 3 teams besieging Autumn Moon were very strong. 3 divine generals, 2 of them had the strength of the Third Great Supreme God Layer, and the other one had the strength of the Fourth Great Supreme God Layer. There were 36 first-class heavenly soldiers, all of whom had the strength of the First or Second Great Supreme God Layer. They were all wearing first-class heavenly soldier armor, which could block a full-strength attack from a cultivator of the Third Great Supreme God Layer. Their defense was strong enough, so they only needed to attack crazily. That way, they would be a great threat. Lu Ming looked at Autumn Moon and the other 2. To be honest, Lu Ming was also surprised by Autumn Moon and the other 2's cultivation. Because Autumn Moon and the other 2's cultivation had reached the Great Supreme God Layer. They were all in the First Great Supreme God Layer. After a few hundred years, Autumn Moon's cultivation had increased so much. She had already reached the Great Supreme God Layer. But on second thought, it was normal. After all, Autumn Moon was the disciple of the Great Lord Dream Void in the Heavenly Palace. Previously, he had heard from the heavenly human tribe that the Great Lord Dream Void was very strong even in the Great Supreme God Layer. Although she was not from the heavenly human tribe, she had a lot of power in the Heavenly Palace. Under the guidance of such a person, and with the vast resources of the Heavenly Palace, it would be hard for her not to improve. Most importantly, Autumn Moon's talent was not to be underestimated. She had the 9 orifices sacred heart. Lu Ming was not a newbie who had just arrived in the primitive universe. He had looked for clues about the 9 orifices' sacred heart. Although there were not many clues and there was no detailed explanation, he could infer from the few words that the 9 orifices' sacred heart was a rare talent. It was rare in the history of the universe. It had unlimited potential and was unfathomable. Moreover, it was extremely strong. That was the truth. At this moment, Autumn Moon and the other 2 were surrounded by dozens of strong cultivators. If it weren't for Autumn Moon, the 3 of them would have been defeated. Xiao Yu was enveloped by the 9-colored light. Every move she made was filled with immense power. She was holding a machete, which was emitting terrifying energy waves. When she slashed, a 9-colored machete light was released. It cut the space and broke the starry sky. She was fighting against the divine general of the 4th great supreme god layer. At this moment, she was not at a disadvantage. Such fighting strength, to be honest, even Lu Ming was amazed by Autumn Moon's fighting strength. Without a doubt, the machete in Autumn Moon's hand was a great weapon. However, even if she had a great weapon, it was still incredible for a cultivator of the 1st great supreme god layer to fight against a cultivator of the 4th great supreme god layer. Lu Ming knew the difference between the 1st great supreme god layer and the 4th great supreme god layer. The 3 levels of the great supreme god layer were equivalent to the 9 levels of the godly emperor layer. In other words, Autumn Moon had relied on a great weapon to fight against a cultivator who was 9 levels higher than her. She was not much weaker than Lu Ming. The 9 orifices' sacred heart was indeed extraordinary. Autumn Moon blocked the cultivator of the 4th great supreme god layer. The other 2 women joined hands to block the others' attacks. Without a doubt, the 2 women were peerless geniuses. They were extremely talented. They were not any weaker than the candidates of the Universe Young Geniuses list. They also controlled great weapons to block the attacks of the other strong cultivators. It had to be said that there were too many geniuses in the Heavenly Palace. Not to mention the Heavenly Human Tribe, even the core disciples of the Heavenly Palace had many geniuses. Luckily, the core disciples of the Heavenly Human Tribe and the Heavenly Palace didn't participate in the Universe Young Geniuses list. Otherwise, there would be a great change in the rankings. Chapter 4188. However, even though the 3 of them managed to block the attacks of the heavenly soldiers and divine generals, it was almost impossible for them to escape. This was because divine generals had armor at the divine general level, and first-class celestial soldiers had armor at the first-class celestial soldier level. Their defensive power was too strong. They blocked all directions like turtles. With their strong defensive power, they blocked all escape routes. They wanted to surround Autumn Moon and the others and wait for reinforcements from the Heavenly Palace. In that case, Autumn Moon and the others would die. Lu Ming and the others arrived. On the other side, the 3 of them, as well as the heavenly soldiers and divine generals, also noticed Lu Ming and the others. Their feelings were completely opposite. Xiao Yu and the other 2 had ugly expressions as their hearts sank. If this continued, it would be very disadvantageous for them. The heavenly soldiers and divine generals were overjoyed. "Come over and kill them." One of the divine generals shouted. "Kill them. Don't let any of them go." The heavenly human divine general who led them shouted and rushed toward the battlefield. Lu Ming and the others followed closely behind. Lu Ming remained calm and collected. He sped up silently and approached the heavenly human race god general, waiting for an opportunity. Soon, they were close to the battlefield. "Kill!" The heavenly human divine general shouted and a saber appeared in his hand. He injected powerful energy into the saber and was about to slash at Autumn Moon. At this moment, Lu Ming's eyes lit up. The time had come. The Bingxian rod appeared in Lu Ming's hand. The forbidden energy poured into the Bingxian rod and then he swung it at the heavenly human divine general. To catch bandits, one had to catch the leader first. Naturally, one had to attack the strongest person. The most important thing was to kill the heavenly human divine general. The other first-class heavenly soldiers were nothing to be afraid of. It happened so suddenly that the other first-class heavenly soldiers were stunned. They never thought that Lu Ming would suddenly attack the heavenly human divine general. Even the divine general of the celestial tribe himself was completely stunned. This scene was beyond his expectations. He wanted to block or dodge, but it was already too late. Boom! The mysterious ice staff crashed toward the heavenly human tribe divine general's head with terrifying power. The terrifying power caused the heavenly human tribe divine general's expression to change drastically, revealing a look of horror. However, just as the Bingxian staff was about to hit the celestial general's battle armor emitted a dazzling glow. A light shield emerged and blocked the Bingxian staff. With a boom, the celestial race's divine general was sent flying like a meteor into the distance. He spat out large mouthfuls of blood and his face was pale. Although his battle suit had blocked the attack of the mysterious ice rod at the critical moment, his divine body was still injured by the powerful force. It can actually protect itself. Lu Ming frowned. This scene was beyond his expectations. With such a good opportunity, Lu Ming suddenly attacked. He thought that he would be able to deal with this heavenly human race divine general. Who would have thought that the other party's armor would be able to protect him on its own? The first-rate heavenly soldier armor on his body did not have this function. Could it be because of the divine general's armor? Or because the other party was from the heavenly human tribe and his armor had been specially refined? Kid, you're courting death. You're courting death. At this moment, the heavenly human tribe divine general finally reacted and let out a hysterical roar. He was furious, extremely furious. He was filled with anger and killing intent toward Lu Ming. Just now, he had almost been killed and felt the threat of death. He had never experienced such a feeling before. At that moment, he was shrouded in endless fear. Therefore, he wanted Lu Ming to pay 1,000 times the price. Although he did not know why Lu Ming attacked him, it did not matter. As long as he attacked him, he would have to pay the price. Kill! The heavenly human tribe divine general roared. His battle saber rapidly enlarged and his body moved, charging toward Lu Ming. The saber light broke through the space and slashed toward Lu Ming, wanting to cut Lu Ming in half. Come on! Lu Ming was not afraid at all. His powerful taboo force continuously surged into the Bingxian rod and he struck it out. The two huge weapons collided in the air, creating a deafening explosion. Then, Lu Ming's body shook and he could not help but retreat. Lu Ming was no match for the heavenly human tribe divine general. The heavenly human tribe is really strong. A thought emerged in Lu Ming's mind. With Lu Ming's current fighting strength, he could definitely fight against a cultivator of the fourth great supreme god layer after using the mysterious ice rod. However, the fourth great supreme god layer naturally referred to the ordinary cultivators of the fourth great supreme god layer, not the monstrous geniuses. The heavenly human tribe was too talented. Even the ordinary heavenly human tribe members were geniuses compared to the other tribes in the universe. The heavenly human tribe members were usually stronger when fighting against cultivators of the same level. The heavenly human tribe divine general with the strength of the fourth great supreme god layer was stronger than the ordinary cultivators of the fourth great supreme god layer. It was normal that Lu Ming was not his match. Die! Lu Ming was pushed back. A first-class celestial soldier behind him attacked Lu Ming with his axe. He wanted to attack Lu Ming by surprise and curry favor with the heavenly human tribe divine general. Even though he did not know why Lu Ming had suddenly attacked the heavenly human tribe divine general, it was always good to curry favor with the heavenly human tribe. That first-class celestial soldier had the strength of the second great supreme god layer. He was very strong. However, compared to Lu Ming, there was still a big gap between him and Lu Ming. Lu Ming's eyes were cold. He did not turn his head. His back lit up and a beam of light shot out. It was the Great Aurora technique. All kinds of secret techniques were distributed in Lu Ming's body. He could attack from any part of his body. The Great Aurora technique was like a divine blade. It struck the heavenly human tribe divine general's axe. With a loud bang, the heavenly human tribe divine general's axe was sent flying. The Aurora technique did not stop. It continued to attack the heavenly human tribe divine general. "Oh no, block it for me." The heavenly human tribe divine general turned pale with fright. He had not expected that Lu Ming would still be able to use such a powerful attack after being pushed back. He was no match for Lu Ming at all. At the critical moment, he could only use his armor to block the attack. The Great Aurora technique bombarded the heavenly human tribe divine general's armor and sent the heavenly human tribe divine general flying. The heavenly human tribe divine general's armor dimmed. The heavenly human tribe divine general's eyes were filled with fear. If it was not for the heavenly human tribe divine general's armor, he would have been killed. Lu Ming retreated a distance and steadied himself. At this moment, the people on Autumn Moon's side also came to their senses. The three people on Autumn Moon's side were very curious. They did not understand why the heavenly human tribe divine general's side would suddenly have a conflict. Lu Ming was in his current body. Of course, the three people on Autumn Moon's side did not recognize Lu Ming. Traitor! The heavenly human tribe divine general who was besieging the three people on Autumn Moon's side were furious. Lu Ming's action was clearly a betrayal of the heavenly palace. "Let's attack together and kill this traitor." The heavenly human tribe divine general who was sneak attacked by Lu Ming roared and once again charged at Lu Ming with his saber. Cold murderous intent flashed in Lu Ming's eyes. He held the Bingxian staff and charged forward. With a loud bang, Lu Ming retreated again. "Qiuqiu, kill!" The moment Lu Ming retreated, Lu Ming's wrist shook and Qiuqiu flew out. Book Guest House Reading Website. Chapter 4189. After exchanging a blow with the heavenly human race's god general, Lu Ming released Qiuqiu the moment he retreated. As soon as Qiuqiu flew out, it turned into a black spear and stabbed at the heavenly human divine general. It still stabbed at the heavenly human divine general's armor. Boom! There was an earth-shattering explosion. The celestial race's divine general was blown away. His armor shook, but unfortunately, it wasn't broken. The divine general's armor was too strong. It was much stronger than a first-class celestial soldier's armor. A first-class celestial soldier's armor could block a full-strength attack from a cultivator of the third great supreme god layer, while a divine general's armor could block a full-strength attack from a cultivator of the sixth great supreme god layer. Even though Qiuqiu's attack was strong, it was much weaker than a cultivator of the sixth great supreme god layer. What a strong defense! It's like a turtle shell. Son of a turtle, I'm coming. Take one attack, two attacks, da-da-da, Qiuqiu shouted and charged at the celestial race's divine general. He turned into a black spear and attacked the celestial race's divine general. You're courting death! Shouted the celestial race's divine general furiously. He had been blown away. He was furious. His eyes turned red. He wanted to cut Qiuqiu into pieces. He used his full strength to attack Qiuqiu. He waved his saber and attacked Qiuqiu. The saber and the spear collided. There was a loud explosion. In the blink of an eye, they had exchanged more than 10 attacks. In the end, the celestial race's divine general was suppressed and kept retreating. How is this possible? "This is impossible," shouted the celestial race's divine general. His cultivation level was one level higher than Qiu Qiu's, but he was suppressed. He wasn't from an ordinary race. He was from the celestial race. There weren't many celestial race members, but they were extremely talented. Even the most ordinary celestial race members would be considered geniuses in the universe. However, Qiu Qiu was able to suppress him. How was that possible? However, the truth was cruel. He was suppressed by Qiu Qiu. Qiu Qiu's ability to fight against cultivators of a higher level has improved. Lu Ming was relieved to see Qiu Qiu's strength. He was overjoyed too. If the difference between each level of the Great Supreme God layer was measured by the Divine Emperor layer, one needed to be able to fight against cultivators of a higher level. The celestial race's divine general was extremely strong. Qiu Qiu could still suppress him. Lu Ming estimated that Qiu Qiu could fight against cultivators of at least 6 levels of the Divine Emperor layer. Qiu Qiu's was at most 4.5 levels. This time, he had refined quite a few precious damaged divine weapons. In particular, there were a few damaged divine weapons worth 1,000,000 merit points, which were of great help to Qiu Qiu. Then, Tian's Qiu's Xian Bing. Qiu Qiu's. Lu Ming used his full strength to activate the mysterious ice rod. His fighting strength had the strength of the 4th Great Supreme God layer. Those first-class celestial soldiers couldn't resist him. They were all blown away. Their first-class celestial armors dimmed down as they were badly injured. "Brat, Mu Yun, you're digging your own grave. How dare you betray the Heavenly Palace? When the other experts from the Heavenly Palace arrive, you'll be dead." The divine general of the Heavenly Human clan roared. "Really? Qiu Qiu, force him to the battlefield over there." Lu Ming sneered and then transmitted his voice to Qiu Qiu. "All right." Qiu Qiu replied loudly. Its attacks became even more ferocious, causing the Heavenly Human tribe divine generals to continuously retreat toward the battlefield on the autumn moon side. "Mu Yun, I have the divine general armor. You can't do anything to me. As long as I can stall you, you will die." The divine general of the Heavenly Human clan roared. He fought back with all his might. He didn't want to win. He only wanted to stall Lu Ming and the others. However, he wasn't Qiu Qiu's match. He kept retreating. Soon, he was close to the battlefield on the autumn moon side. "Do you think that you can stall us with the divine general armor? You've probably forgotten that the Heavenly Palace has a treasure called the Forbidden Weapon Area Seal." Lu Ming sneered. A jade talisman appeared in his hand. It was the Forbidden Weapon Area Seal. When Lu Ming was at the Merit Exchange Hall in the Heavenly Palace, he had exchanged for a few Forbidden Soldier Domain talismans. Initially, he had thought that he would not need them and had only kept them for emergencies. Unexpectedly, he could use them so soon. It was the perfect time to use the Forbidden Weapon Area Seal. It's the Forbidden Weapon Area Seal. The divine general of the Heavenly Human clan was shocked and he saw the Forbidden Weapon Area Seal in Lu Ming's hand. With a loud bang, Lu Ming crushed the seal of the Restricted Soldier Realm. The Restricted Soldier Realm spread out rapidly, shrouding not only the Heavenly Human tribe's divine generals, but also Qiu Yu and the rest, as well as the heavenly soldiers and divine generals who besieged Qiu Yu. After being enveloped by the Forbidden Weapon Area, the divine weapons in the hands of the divine general of the Heavenly Human clan and the armor on his body quickly lost their luster. They couldn't be used anymore and automatically hid themselves. The armor and weapons of the heavenly soldiers who were attacking Autumn Moon and the others couldn't be used either. Of course, there was also a problem. The ultimate weapons in the hands of Autumn Moon and the other two couldn't be used either. "Qiu Qiu, kill." The moment Lu Ming crushed the Forbidden Weapon Area Seal, Lu Ming shouted and dashed out like a bolt of lightning. He didn't charge towards the divine general of the heavenly human clan, but towards the heavenly soldiers who were attacking Autumn Moon and the others. Lu Ming's body was covered in a dazzling light. He was using all his strength. In the process of rushing out, his figure suddenly disappeared from the spot. It was the greater teleportation technique. When he reappeared, he was already around Autumn Moon and the others. Boom boom, Lu Ming attacked with all his strength. His fists were like mountains as they bombarded the heavenly soldiers and divine generals. Without the protection of their armor, the first-grade heavenly soldiers couldn't block Lu Ming's attacks. Even without his ultimate weapon, Lu Ming's fighting strength was almost comparable to the third great supreme god layer. His attacks were extremely powerful. 4 or 5 first-grade heavenly soldiers didn't even have time to scream before their bodies exploded. They died on the spot. On the other hand, a few fists were aimed at 2 of the third great supreme god layer divine generals, blocking their attacks. As for the fourth great supreme god layer divine general, Lu Ming didn't attack him. He would leave that one to Qiuqiu. Qiuqiu's fighting strength came from his own body. He didn't rely on external forces. The moment Lu Ming attacked, Qiuqiu attacked as well. His body rapidly changed again, turning into a long sword. Lu Ming had exchanged a few broken weapons worth 1,000,000 merit points last time. One of them was a broken sword. After turning into a long sword, the sword slightly trembled and then disappeared. It wasn't the greater teleportation technique, but a phenomenon caused by moving too fast. This time, Qiuqiu didn't attack the heavenly human clan's divine general, but another fourth great supreme god layer divine general, the one who had attacked Autumn Moon at the beginning. Chapter 4190. The godly general who had fought against Qiuqiu Moon wasn't from the heavenly human clan, so he wasn't very strong. He only had the strength of the fourth great supreme god layer, so he was weaker than the godly general of the heavenly human clan. Qiuqiu's sword appeared in front of that person and slashed at his head. That person was startled and hastily tried to defend himself. However, he couldn't use external strength. Not only was his defense weakened, but his attack power was also weakened. He couldn't block Qiuqiu's attack. Slash! Sword light flashed and the godly general's attack was destroyed. Then, blood splashed everywhere. A cut appeared between the eyebrows of that cultivator of the fourth great supreme god layer. The man's aura rapidly weakened. His eyes were filled with great shock and disbelief. In the next moment, the life aura on his body completely disappeared. He was dead. A godly general of the fourth great supreme god layer had been killed by Qiuqiu instantly. Actually, if Qiuqiu had fought against him directly, it would have been difficult for Qiuqiu to kill him instantly, even though Qiuqiu was much stronger than him. However, Qiuqiu had been completely unprepared. Lu Ming had suddenly used the talisman of the forbidden weapon area to suppress the godly general's armor and weapon. Qiuqiu had been fighting against the godly general of the heavenly human clan, but he had suddenly attacked him. Everything had happened too quickly. The godly general didn't have time to use his full strength, so he had been killed instantly. Clang! After Qiuqiu had killed the cultivator of the fourth great supreme god layer, his sword shook slightly and then he moved towards the godly general of the heavenly human clan. He had to be quick. He had to finish the battle quickly. Lu Ming knew that there were too many strong cultivators from the heavenly palace this time. If they delayed any longer, other strong cultivators could arrive at any time. If they got entangled, they would be in trouble. As long as they could get rid of the strongest godly generals, the others would be easy to deal with. You want to kill me? Don't even think about it. The godly general of the heavenly human clan reacted quickly. He raised his sword to block. With a clang, he exchanged a blow with Qiuqiu and retreated explosively. Qiuqiu continued attacking. Die, die. Hurry up and kill them. shouted the godly general of the heavenly human clan. Die! Die! Two other godly generals of the third great supreme god layer shouted furiously and attacked Lu Ming and Xiao Moon. Their battle armors were suppressed, but Lu Ming, Autumn Moon, and the others' killing weapons were also suppressed. They didn't believe that with their strength of the third great supreme god layer, they couldn't defeat Xiao Yu and the others. Two experts of the third great supreme god layer had attacked. Their power was terrifying and terrifying. Lu Ming's face turned solemn. Stay behind me and block the attacks of the other heavenly soldiers. Leave these two to me. Lu Ming said. As long as he could delay these two for a few moves, he believed that Qiuqiu would quickly end the battle. As long as Qiuqiu finished the battle and came to help them, this victory would be theirs. You don't have to do all of them. Give me one. A cold voice sounded. Lu Ming was very familiar with this voice. Naturally, it was from Autumn Moon. Autumn Moon stepped forward and her body was covered by 9 colored lights. At that moment, Autumn Moon shouted and pointed her finger. People could see that among the 9 colored lights on Autumn Moon's body, one of them was dazzling. It completely suppressed the other 8 lights. It was dazzling. Lu Ming faintly saw a heart appear where Autumn Moon's heart was. That heart was different. It had 9 orifices. Each of the 9 orifices had a different color. At that moment, one of the orifices had a particularly bright color. It was the same color as the one outside. Whoosh! As Autumn Moon pointed her finger, a bright light appeared and turned into a finger pointing at the godly general of the third great supreme god layer. Boom! The two of them exchanged blows. The godly general of the third great supreme god layer's attack was blocked. Lu Ming's eyes twinkled. Even though Autumn Moon didn't have a great weapon, she was still very strong. She could block a godly general of the third great supreme god layer with just the strength of the first great supreme god layer. That was beyond Lu Ming's expectation. The 9 orifices' sacred heart was indeed powerful. Even though Lu Ming was observing Autumn Moon, he didn't stay idle. He kept punching the other godly general of the third great supreme god layer. Apart from those godly generals, the rest of the first-class celestial soldiers were nothing to worry about. Even though there were many first-class celestial soldiers, godly Lord Meng Su's 2 disciples could protect themselves. The battle was in a stalemate, but Qiuqiu had the upper hand. Die! 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 Qiuqiu shouted and started attacking crazily. The sky was filled with sword lights. It looked like a rain of swords was falling from the sky. The heavenly human clan's godly general was completely on the defensive. Poof! Finally, the heavenly human clan's godly general was hit in the chest by a sword light. Now, without the protection of the godly general's armor, the sword light pierced through the heavenly human clan's godly general's heart, splitting it in half. The heavenly human clan's godly general screamed and retreated, coughing up blood. Although the sword light couldn't kill him, it could still severely injure him and reduce his fighting strength. That was enough. He wasn't Qiuqiu's match in the first place. Now that his fighting strength was reduced, he was even less of a match for Qiuqiu. Kill him when he's down. Qiuqiu wouldn't miss such an opportunity. After injuring his opponent with one move, his following attacks were even more violent. Whoosh! Whoosh! The sky was filled with sword shadows and sword rays. Each of the sword rays was billions of miles long, leaving long cracks in the starry sky of the universe. Poof! Blood splattered everywhere, flying 1,000,000 miles away. Then, a head was thrown high into the sky. It was the heavenly human clan's godly general's head. He had been decapitated by Qiuqiu. He wasn't dead yet. His eyes were filled with fear and he wanted to escape. But Qiuqiu wouldn't let him escape. With a swoosh, a sword light slashed across and split the Heavenly Human Clan's godly general's head in half. The soul inside was also destroyed. The Heavenly Human Clan's godly general had died on the spot. The other godly generals and first-class heavenly soldiers gasped with fear in their eyes. This was a Heavenly Human Clan's godly general. The Heavenly Palace would be furious if he was killed just like that. At the same time, they also wanted to retreat. Xiao was too powerful. If he attacked them, they would only die. Let's go. Let's go. The remaining godly generals and first-class heavenly soldiers retreated at the same time. They didn't want to fight anymore and flew in a direction. Don't even think about leaving, Xiao wanted to chase them, but Lu Ming stopped him. Don't chase a desperate enemy. Let's get out of here first. Lu Ming said to Xiao. Xiao flew back to Lu Ming's hand and turned into a bracelet. Who are you? Why did you save us? Xiao Moon and the other two women looked at Lu Ming curiously. They didn't understand why a first-class heavenly soldier from the Heavenly Palace would save them. He didn't hesitate to kill the Heavenly Human Clan's godly general and offend the Heavenly Palace. Besides, Lu Ming's fighting strength shocked them even more. They had clearly seen that Lu Ming had resisted the attack of a cultivator of the third great supreme god layer with the strength of the ninth godly emperor layer. It was incredible. Chapter 4191. Xiao Autumn Moon and the other two were puzzled. Why would this monstrously strong genius save them at the expense of offending the Heavenly Palace? Could it be that he admired their beauty? That was not impossible. After all, they were beauties that were 1 in a billion. Now is not the time to talk. There are many people from the Heavenly Palace this time. Let's leave this place first. Lu Ming said. Okay, let's leave first. This way. Xiao Autumn Moon nodded and flew in a direction. Lu Ming followed closely behind. Soon, they left the area covered by the Forbidden Army domain. As soon as they left the area covered by the Forbidden Army domain, Lu Ming's first-class celestial soldier armor appeared. You have the first-class celestial soldier armor. As far as I know, the celestial soldier armor has a restrictive power that can control you. As long as the experts from the Heavenly Palace control it, you will definitely die. Xiao Autumn Moon said with a worried look in her eyes. She did not recognize Lu Ming. She just felt that Lu Ming had risked his life to save them. If he died in their hands, she could not bear to see him die. Don't worry, I have a way to break it. Lu Ming smiled. At the same time, he circulated the restrictive power and distributed it to every cell of his body. Soon, Lu Ming found the restrictive power on the celestial soldier armor. This power could also be distributed to every cell. If it were anyone else facing this power, they would be helpless. However, it was not a problem at all for the forbidden body. After finding this power, Lu Ming circulated the restrictive power and surrounded this power. Then, he began to refine it. Soon, this power was completely refined by Lu Ming. The first-class celestial soldier armor flew out of Lu Ming's body and was caught by Lu Ming. Once the restrictive power was refined by Lu Ming could no longer wear or use the celestial soldier armor. You actually broke free from the restraint of the celestial soldier armor? Xiao Autumn Moon and the other two widened their eyes in shock and disbelief. They had never heard of anyone who could break free from the restraint of the celestial soldier armor. In their hearts, Lu Ming was even more mysterious and unpredictable. Although Lu Ming was refining the restrictive power of the celestial soldier armor, they did not stop. Flying fast, they continued to fly in a certain direction. At the same time, Lu Ming put the celestial soldier armor into a storage ring. Brother, can you tell us now? Why did you save us? Xiao Autumn Moon asked. You. Lu Ming smiled and revealed his true identity. There was no need for Lu Ming to hide anything from Qiu Yu. He had no intention of hiding anything. As soon as he said that, Qiu Yu's body stiffened and her expression changed drastically. She stared deeply at Lu Ming with her beautiful eyes, revealing a cold murderous intent. Whoosh! Qiu Autumn Moon's body emitted a dazzling light that slashed at Lu Ming. Lu Ming was shocked. He did not expect Qiu Autumn Moon to attack him. In a hurry, he blocked the attack and collided with the light. With a boom, Lu Ming was sent flying. Junior sister Qiu Autumn Moon, what's going on? The other two disciples of Lord God Dream Void looked at the scene in shock. They were also confused. They did not expect Qiu Autumn Moon to attack Lu Ming. Qiu Autumn Moon did not answer them. Instead, she stared at Lu Ming and said coldly, "Tell me, who are you? Why did you pretend to be my young master?" So it's a misunderstanding. Lu Ming was relieved. He knew that he had a forbidden body now. His life origin aura was completely different from before. It was no wonder that Qiu Autumn Moon would misunderstand. Qiu Autumn Moon, I am indeed your young master. Because I cultivated a special technique, my life origin aura has changed. Lu Ming explained. Life origin aura has changed? I have never heard of such a technique. You'd better show me evidence. Otherwise, don't blame me for being rude. Qiu Autumn Moon said coldly. Her body was filled with cold killing intent. Lu Ming smiled bitterly and said, Qiu Autumn Moon, we are from the Lu family of the Divine Wilderness continent in the primordial realm. You grew up in the Lu family. Do you still remember that I was the one who helped you open your meridians? Lu Ming began to talk about the common memories of both of them. Some things were only known to Lu Ming and Qiu Autumn Moon. Qiu Autumn Moon listened carefully. However, the killing intent in her eyes did not fade. Instead, it grew stronger. Whoosh! Suddenly, Qiu Autumn Moon attacked again. A dazzling nine-colored light, beautiful and terrifying, slashed at Lu Ming's head. Qiu Autumn Moon used her killer weapon. A machete shrouded in nine-colored light. Its power was very terrifying. Qiu Autumn Moon, what are you doing? Why are you attacking? Lu Ming exclaimed. He had to use the mysterious ice rod to block it. With a clang, there was a violent vibration. Lu Ming blocked Qiu Autumn Moon's machete, and he himself also floated back. Tell me, who are you? What did you do to young master? Why do you have young master's memories? Did you search young master's soul? Qiu Autumn Moon shouted. Her killing intent was incomparably dense. A powerful aura locked onto Lu Ming, ready to launch a fatal attack at any time. Lu Ming smiled bitterly. Obviously, Qiu Autumn Moon still did not believe him. She thought that he searched Lu Ming's soul and obtained Lu Ming's memories. This kind of thing could happen. In the universe, this kind of thing was not rare. For a moment, Lu Ming did not know how to explain it. If he were in her shoes, he would not believe it so easily. Even the aura of a person's life origin had changed. A person's appearance, body shape, voice, temperament, and so on were easy to change. Only the life origin aura was difficult to change. Needless to say, it was a complete change. It was a completely different person. Anyone who encountered it would find it hard to believe. What? You can't say anything. Tell me, what did you do to young master? If you don't explain it clearly today, I will kill you. Qiu Autumn Moon shouted. As she spoke, tears were already rolling in her eyes. If someone had really searched Lu Ming's soul and even his most private memories had been obtained, it meant that Lu Ming was in grave danger. The odds were against him. Qiu Autumn Moon, I'm really Lu Ming. I'm really young master, Lu Ming said helplessly. Yes, he is Lu Ming. Qiu Autumn Moon, do you still recognize me? At this moment, a voice sounded. It was Qiuqiu. Then, Qiuqiu flew out and turned into a round ball, swinging around in the air. You are Qiuqiu? Qiu Autumn Moon's eyes widened in surprise. Qiuqiu, Qiu Autumn Moon, of course, recognized him. However, the battle just now was intense. Moreover, Qiuqiu turned into a long spear or a long sword as soon as he attacked. It was completely different from before. Moreover, Qiuqiu had swallowed a large number of broken divine weapons over the years, and his temperament had changed a little. Therefore, Qiu Autumn Moon did not look carefully before and did not recognize him at first. At this moment, Qiuqiu had turned into a round ball. Qiu Autumn Moon looked carefully and immediately recognized Qiuqiu. After all, Qiuqiu's life origin aura had not changed. Chapter 4192. Yes, I'm Qiuqiu. Autumn Moon, long time no see. Lu Ming has been looking for you all this time. Qiuqiu's round body flew around Qiuqiu as it spoke. Autumn Moon looked at Qiuqiu carefully. Finally, her eyes were filled with surprise. She was sure that Qiuqiu was not controlled and was free. So, what Qiuqiu said was true. Autumn Moon looked at Lu Ming again and said, You're really young, master. Of course, silly girl. Lu Ming said with a smile. Yes, it's this smile. You're really young, master. Young master, I finally meet you. Autumn Moon was pleasantly surprised. She flew up and threw herself into Lu Ming's arms as if she was unwilling to leave. She was too familiar with Lu Ming. Now that she had calmed down, she could feel from Lu Ming's smile that this was Lu Ming. The aura of life origin had changed, but the smile was still the same. Silly girl, let's leave this place first. The people of the Heavenly Palace will catch up with us soon. Lu Ming said. Yes. Autumn Moon nodded. They continued to fly in the direction they had just been. There was no time to chat. They could only talk about the details when they were safe. Autumn Moon had a lot of questions in her heart, but she could only keep them to herself for the time being. But this time, they did not fly far before a team appeared in front of them. A divine general with 12 first-class heavenly soldiers. They're over there. Stop them. The divine general also noticed Lu Ming and the others and immediately shouted. Go over there. Qiuqiu, you lead the way. Lu Ming shouted. He waved his hand and Qiuqiu flew out. Don't worry. Leave it to me. Qiuqiu shouted. It flew out and turned into a black spear. It pierced through the void and rushed to the front of the heavenly soldiers and divine general in the blink of an eye. Whoosh! The black spear pierced out, and the boundless power in the starry sky gathered. A huge primordial divine spirit was condensed. This primordial divine spirit was also wielding a black spear, which he swept out horizontally. The void shook violently. This black spear was even larger than a planet. It traversed the starry sky and pressed down on the 12 first-class celestial soldiers and one divine general. The godly general only had the strength of the third great supreme god layer. When he sensed how terrifying that attack was, his expression changed drastically. He shouted furiously, "Activate your armor. Block it. Block it." The divine general desperately activated his divine general armor. The other 12 first-class celestial soldiers also desperately activated their first-class celestial soldier armor to block. Boom! The black spear swept out and 13 figures were sent flying like 13 rubber balls. The divine general was still alright. He had the divine general battle armor and his defense was extremely strong. Qiuqiu couldn't break through his defense and only sent him flying millions of miles away. However, those first-class heavenly soldiers were not so lucky. Their first-class celestial soldier armor was swept by the black spear and violently vibrated. Then, it exploded. A few of the first-class celestial soldiers had suffered a stronger attack and their bodies had exploded and turned into ashes. Lu Ming and the others rushed over and disappeared in the blink of an eye. Huh, you can't even withstand a single blow. Qiuqiu was immensely proud of himself as he flew back to Lu Ming's side. Qiuqiu, Autumn Moon and the others looked at Qiuqiu curiously. Qiuqiu's fighting strength had surprised them. How could a metallic creature be so strong? Could it be a member of the imperial clan of the metallic creatures? Qiuqiu, Autumn Moon and the others couldn't help but think. The metallic creatures were one of the top clans in the universe, one of the 10 strongest clans. They were incomparably strong. Amongst them, the imperial clan of the metallic creatures were incomparably strong. Each one of them was a peerless genius. It was just that there were very few of them. At that moment, everyone's expression changed drastically. Because the void in front of them suddenly rippled like water. A terrifying aura spread out from there. This aura was too terrifying. It caused the surrounding starry sky and countless stars to tremble as if they were about to explode. Divine Lord. Lu Ming and the others' expressions changed drastically. This aura was definitely that of a Divine Lord. It was too terrifying. They were far from being a match. Let's go. Lu Ming roared, wanting to change direction and escape. You want to escape in front of me? How naive. A cold voice rang out. A figure suddenly appeared in the void. This figure had 12 wings on his back and his entire body was enveloped in pure white holy light. This was a divine lord of the angel race. The moment the divine lord of the angel race appeared, his aura became even more terrifying. Lu Ming and the others' bodies suddenly stiffened. Because the void had been completely sealed, under this terrifying aura, they couldn't move at all. Hand over the sovereign's heart, destroy your own cultivation, and follow me back to the heavenly palace to beg for forgiveness. The divine lord of the angel race said coldly. His body was incomparably huge. His head was comparable to a planet. Standing in the void, he gave Lu Ming and the others too much pressure. It's over. I can't move. Lu Ming roared in his heart. At this moment, he wanted to take out the purple copper coffin, but he couldn't. Bone Demon, do you have any ideas? Lu Ming asked Lu Ming. No, I'm too weak. If I was at my peak, I could kill him with a slap. But now, you're on your own. Bone Demon said. Lu Ming was speechless. His mind was spinning rapidly to see if there was any way. You, Autumn Moon was about to shout, don't even think about making me hand over the sovereign's heart. But before she could do so, she was stopped by Lu Ming. Autumn Moon, I'll speak. Lu Ming transmitted his voice to Autumn Moon. Autumn Moon's voice came to an abrupt halt. Yes, we can hand over the sovereign's heart. But it's not in our hands. We've hidden it in a secret place. If you want it, we can bring you there. Lu Ming shouted. Although he didn't know what the sovereign's heart was, it didn't stop him from making things up. Brat, bring me there. If you dare to play any tricks, I'll make sure you die miserably. The divine lord of the angel race said. I won't lie to you. But I have a condition. Lu Ming said. Brat, you don't have the right to negotiate with me. Bring me there. The divine lord of the angel race said coldly. A divine emperor brat wanted to negotiate with him? What a joke. I can only negotiate with you. The sovereign's heart is in the hands of a friend of mine. Even if you capture us and search our souls, it's useless. I've already transmitted my voice to him, telling him to take the sovereign's heart and leave as he pleases. I don't know where he is now unless I contact him personally. You can kill me and search my soul, but you can't force me to contact him. Lu Ming continued to make things up. He was stalling for time, hoping for a change. Otherwise, if the other party attacked directly, they would have no hope at all. "Brat, you're good," the divine lord of the angel race's eyes were filled with coldness. However, he couldn't tell if Lu Ming was telling the truth. Chapter 4193. The angel race god lord couldn't tell if Lu Ming was telling the truth or not. Of course, he wouldn't completely trust Lu Ming, but if Lu Ming was telling the truth, then even if he captured Lu Ming and the others and searched their souls, it would be useless. "Speak. What are your conditions?" the angel race god lord asked. "Very simple. I'll take you to get the Lord's heart, and you let them go first." Lu Ming pointed at Xiao Yu and the others. "No, young master," Xiao Yu immediately panicked. "No." The angel race god lord said coldly and domineeringly, "None of you can leave. If you don't agree, you won't get the Lord's heart either." Lu Ming retorted. "Capture you. I have plenty of ways to make you obediently lead the way." The angel race god lord's eyes flashed coldly as he stepped forward, his aura even more terrifying. He didn't want to waste any more words with Lu Ming. He had plenty of ways to make Lu Ming submit. This guy, Lu Ming inwardly sighed. This old fellow was indeed not easy to fool. It was already hard enough to buy him some time. "All of you, hurry up and leave." At this moment, a voice rang out, and then a rainbow-colored beam of light shot out from above, charging at the angel race god lord. "Master!" Xiao Yu and the others were overjoyed. "Dream Void," the angel race god lord roared as he gripped the angel god's sword and slashed with all his strength. Boom! The two attacks collided, unleashing a heaven-shaking explosion. The angel race god lord's body violently trembled as he retreated. It was clear that the angel race god lord was weaker than Dream Void. High above, Dream Void's figure flashed as he appeared. God Lord Dream Void cut a sorry figure, his body stained with blood. His aura was not at its peak, but he was injured. "Master! Master, what happened to you?" Xiao Yu and the others cried out in alarm, their faces filled with worry. "I'm fine. Hurry up and leave. Leave him to me." With a wave of his hand, a gust of energy wrapped around Lu Ming and the rest, pushing them hundreds of millions of miles away. Then, he stepped out and charged toward the almighty master of the angel clan in an extremely domineering manner. "Go!" Lu Ming pulled Autumn Moon and flew into the distance. The other two disciples of God Lord Dream Void quickly followed. They knew very well that even if they stayed, they wouldn't be of any use to God Lord Dream Void. They might even drag him down. Their speed was extremely fast, and in the blink of an eye, they had flown far away. However, he could still vaguely see that there was another person on the battlefield. Heavenly Monarch Yeshen. The powerful existence who had fought with God Lord Dream Void had arrived as well, but was stopped by God Lord Dream Void. "Master!" Autumn Moon and the other two had tears in their eyes. God Lord Dream Void was fighting one against two, so they couldn't help but be worried. "Don't worry. God Lord Dream Void is very strong, so he'll definitely be fine. The most important thing for all of you now is to complete the mission that God Lord Dream Void gave you." "Right, where are you going next?" Lu Ming comforted them before asking. "Primordial Divine Lake. Master wants us to go there. He said that there will be experts from the Primordial Divine Lake coming to receive us. We shouldn't be too far from the entrance of the Primordial Divine Lake." Autumn Moon said. Primordial Divine Lake? Lu Ming was confused. He had never heard of this name before. Could it be related to the Primordial Divine Spirit? Then let's speed up. Lu Ming said. The group sped up, flying at full speed. But soon, they encountered another group of divine generals and divine soldiers. No, this area is surrounded by the experts of the Heavenly Palace. It'll be very difficult for us to break out. Lu Ming frowned. What should we do? Even though Master told me that we're not too far from the entrance of the primordial divine lake, we don't know how far we are. Autumn Moon looked worried. They seemed to have been completely surrounded. The divine soldiers and divine generals they had encountered so far weren't very strong. The strongest one was only of the fourth great supreme god layer. If they had encountered someone of the fifth great supreme god layer or a divine lord, they would have been in trouble. I have an idea. I have a formation plate that can open a wormhole to the Dragon Clan's mother planet. We can go to the Dragon Clan's mother planet first and then go to the primordial divine lake from there. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. He had thought of an idea. Back then, Ao Qian had given him 36 formation plates. They could open a wormhole to the Dragon Clan's mother planet. Now, they could use them to go to the Dragon Clan's mother planet first and then go to the primordial divine lake from there. That way, no one would know. It's not bad to have such a treasure. Autumn Moon and the others' eyes lit up. But it'll take some time to activate the formation plate. I hope we can make it in time, Lu Ming said. Then, Lu Ming waved his hand and the 36 formation plates flew out and floated in the air. Forbidden energy was injected into the formation plates. Immediately, the 36 formation plates lit up and spun rapidly in the air. A mysterious fluctuation spread out. The formation plates were slowly opening a wormhole. I hope we can make it in time. Lu Ming, Autumn Moon and the others were looking forward to it. The formation plates shone brighter and brighter, and the fluctuation became more intense. Not long after, a vortex appeared in the middle of the formation plates. At first, the vortex was not deep, but slowly, as the vortex spun rapidly, the vortex became deeper and deeper. It was connecting to the Dragon Clan's mother planet. Once it was connected, they would be able to go to the Dragon Clan's mother planet through the wormhole. However, at that moment, Lu Ming and the others' expressions changed. Behind them, there was a fluctuation in the air. Then, a group of people appeared. There were more than 30 people in that group. Lu Ming glanced at them and knew that they were 3 teams. 3 divine generals led a group of first-class celestial soldiers. Die! A loud roar was heard as one of the divine generals made his move. He held a golden sword in his hand and slashed out. A golden sword light tore through the void, traversing hundreds of millions of miles, and slashed at the 36 formation discs. With their eyesight, they could see that Lu Ming and the others were opening a wormhole. His attack was aimed at the wormhole. I'll block it. Qiu flew out and turned into a black spear. It thrust forward and collided with the golden sword light. There was a loud explosion and the golden spear was blocked. However, Qiu's black spear also shook and was pushed back. A heavenly human of the fourth great god layer. Lu Ming's heart sank. The divine general who had attacked just now was also a heavenly human. Lu Ming had never seen him before. There were 18 teams that had set off together, but in fact, there were more than 18 teams that had participated in the hunt for Lord God Meng Su and the others. Lu Ming had never seen any of the 3 teams in front of him. Chapter 4194. This celestial tribe divine general was very powerful, even more so than the celestial tribe divine general killed by Qiu. Lu Ming reckoned that this heavenly human tribe divine general was a powerful supreme talent. He was able to fight someone who was 4 levels above him in the divine emperor realm. Otherwise, he would not be able to suppress Qiu with a cultivation level higher than him. You want to leave? Stay here and die. The celestial general was holding a golden sword. He was extremely fast. In just a few steps, he was already close to Lu Ming and the others. The other 2 celestial generals also rushed over. Those two celestial generals had the strength of the third great supreme god layer. They were very strong. Leave them to me. Young master, go and help Qiu, said Qiu Moon. A machete appeared in her hand. She was surrounded by 9 colored lights. With a clang, the machete flew out. It turned into 2 rays of light and slashed towards the 2 celestial generals of the third great supreme god layer. Lu Ming was holding the mysterious ice rod. Together with Qiu, they attacked the celestial general. They had to stop those celestial generals and celestial generals. They had to buy time for the formation. Once the formation was activated, they would be able to enter the wormhole and go to the Dragon Clan's mother planet. Ao Qian was in charge of the Dragon Clan's mother planet. There was also the forbidden flying phoenix's soul. Even the Lord of Heaven of the Heavenly Palace wouldn't dare go there rashly. Traitors, die! Shouted the celestial general. His golden sword slashed towards Lu Ming and Qiu. Clang! Clang! The 3 of them collided fiercely. Lu Ming's body shook violently. He felt an extremely strong strength rush towards him. He was pushed back and coughed up blood. At the same time, Qiu was pushed back. That celestial general's fighting strength was astonishing. He had the strength of the 4th great supreme god layer. He was as strong as a candidate of the universe young geniuses list. He was stronger than Qiu. He was much stronger than Lu Ming. You still want to leave? Die! The divine general of the celestial race shouted coldly. Golden sword light slashed wildly at Lu Ming and Qiu. He could see that Lu Ming was weaker, so he used more power to slash at Lu Ming, wanting to kill Lu Ming in one fell swoop. Young master, let me help you. On the other side, Qiu Autumn Moon rushed toward Lu Ming and slashed at the heavenly human tribe divine general. As for the other 2 god generals and the first-class celestial soldiers, they were left to the other 2 disciples of God Lord Dream Void. Clang! Autumn Moon also exchanged a blow with the heavenly human tribe divine general. Her scimitar was also sent flying. Even Autumn Moon was no match for him. Seizing this opportunity, Lu Ming and Qiu attacked the heavenly human divine general again. Qiu used all his strength and turned into a long sword. It split into countless sword lights and slashed at the heavenly human tribe divine general. The sword lights filled the entire void. Lu Ming was enveloped in dazzling light. He was using all his strength to activate an ancient secret technique. The Great Shift Technique. Explode! Lu Ming bellowed. He cast the transference skill and directly teleported a huge star from afar. This planet was a resource planet. It was covered in flames and filled with scorching energy. It pressed down on the heavenly human tribe divine general. His cultivation was still not high enough. If it was high enough, he could move the stars in the sky, including the stars, to bombard the enemy. He couldn't do it now. Break! The heavenly human race's divine general shouted. The golden light was huge and boundless. It broke through the starry sky of the universe and slashed horizontally. It directly scattered the golden light emitted by Qiu and also split the planet that Lu Ming had teleported over into 2. Gale bead. When the planet was split in half, Lu Ming took out the gale bead again and used all his strength to guide a gust of wind towards the heavenly human tribe divine general. Autumn Moon also recovered and continued to attack. Qiu retreated and attacked again. For a moment, Lu Ming and Autumn Moon worked together to block the enemy's attack. Although they were still at a disadvantage, they could still hold on for a while. Almost there, Lu Ming shouted in his mind. As long as they could hold on for a while longer, the wormhole to the dragon race's mother planet would be completely connected. However, reality didn't go as Lu Ming wished. Boom! In the distance, the void collapsed and someone else appeared. It was a fiend shadow, wearing the armor of a divine general. It was an overlord of the fiend race and also a divine general. He didn't lead any heavenly soldiers, but was alone. However, Lu Ming and the others pulled a long face. Because the chi of the fiend race's chi was even stronger than that of the heavenly human tribe divine general. He was definitely a cultivator who had surpassed the fourth great supreme god layer. He had probably reached the fifth great supreme god layer. One person was more threatening than a group of people. You came just in time. They were about to open the wormhole and escape. Destroy them, shouted the divine general of the heavenly human tribe. As long as he destroyed the wormhole that Lu Ming and the others had opened, Lu Ming and the others would be like turtles in a jar. Boom! The fiend race's divine general attacked. His body was huge and he rushed towards Lu Ming and the others. Before he even reached them, he threw a punch and a vast fist chi bombarded the 30 formation plates. Oh no, Lu Ming's expression changed. He wanted to stop him, but the divine general of the heavenly human tribe didn't let him. He attacked crazily and Lu Ming couldn't free himself. Similarly, Qiuqiu and Qiu couldn't free themselves to stop him. Boom! The fiend race's fist chi bombarded the 30 formation plates. The 36 formation plates shook violently and their lights dimmed. The whirlpool in the middle of the 16 formation plates also quickly disappeared. The 36 formation plates shook and then flew towards Lu Ming. Lu Ming waved his hand and put them away. The 36 formation plates were fine. After all, they had been made by the spacetime spiritual mouse and given to him by Ao Qian. However, now that they had been interrupted, they couldn't go to the Dragon Clan's mother planet. Now, not only couldn't they go to the Dragon Clan's mother planet, but they also couldn't protect themselves. Boom! The divine general of the demon clan continued to dash toward Lu Ming, bringing with him a billowing demonic aura. Lu Ming, Qiuqiu Moon and the others all pulled a long face. It was already difficult for them to deal with the heavenly human tribe's divine general. Now that there was an even more terrifying fiend race's divine general, they were in a precarious situation. Leave this fiend to me. You guys have to find a way to escape. Bone's voice rang out. He flew out of Lu Ming's sea of consciousness, his body emitting a black light. Forbidden demon domain. Bone roared. His eye sockets were filled with raging fiend fire. Dense runes rushed out and formed a huge, forbidden character that pressed down on the fiend race's divine general. Once the fiend race's divine general was enveloped by the forbidden character, his fiend chi rapidly weakened and his aura plummeted. With a puff, the fiend race's divine general spat out a mouthful of blood and retreated. Chapter 4195. The Bone Demon cast the word restrict and injured the divine general of the demon clan in one move. However, the Bone Demon turned into a beam of light and flew back to Lu Ming's sea of consciousness. Bone Demon, you're so powerful. Can you finish off this heavenly human tribe warrior? Lu Ming asked the Bone Demon telepathically. No. I can deal with this devil because I'm the ancestor of the devil path. I can restrain devil path cultivators. I can't do the same to others. Moreover, I'm too weak. That move just now used up all the energy I've accumulated. Now, I'm so weak that I can't use any energy. The Bone Demon telepathically replied to Lu Ming. How can I make you stronger? Lu Ming asked as he cooperated with Qiuqiu and Qiuqiu to fight the heavenly human tribe divine general. Unless you can get me the bones of a divine lord from the devil race for me to refine. Or you can get me the bones of a devil lord from the devil race for me to refine. I can improve and recover quickly, the Bone Demon said. Lu Ming was speechless. Lu Ming was speechless. The bones of a divine lord or devil lord? Where could he get them? Charge. Let's charge out together. Lu Ming shouted to Qiu Moon and the others. They couldn't delay any longer. They had to charge out as soon as possible. Otherwise, it would be too dangerous. As time passed, more and more experts from the Heavenly Palace would come. I'll stop them. You guys charge. Qiu roared and rushed to the front desperately, blocking most of the attacks from the Heavenly Human Tribe Divine General. Lu Ming and Qiu Moon joined forces and charged in the same direction. This way, Qiu was under a lot of pressure. He blocked most of the attacks from the Heavenly Human Tribe Divine General, but he couldn't. He was hit in a few moves. Fortunately, Qiu was a metallic life form. Especially Qiu, it was even more special. Its defensive power and vitality were astonishing. Although it was hit, it only suffered light injuries and didn't have much of an effect. In the past, Qiu had frequently transformed into a suit of armor to cover Lu Ming's body, helping him block attacks. It had been pierced through many times without any major problems, so one could see how powerful Qiu's defenses and vitality were. Just like that, Qiu blocked most of the attacks from the Heavenly Human Tribe Divine Generals. Lu Ming, Autumn Moon, and the others worked together and charged in the same direction. Soon, Lu Ming and the others achieved results and had a chance of breaking out. Apart from the Heavenly Human Tribe Divine Generals, no one else could stop Lu Ming and Autumn Moon. Kill. At this moment, the Demon Divine General ignored his injuries and charged at Lu Ming's group again. His two enormous claws swiped at Lu Ming and Autumn Moon. Lu Ming and Autumn Moon had no choice but to block. The mysterious ice rod and the scimitar slashed at the two claws at the same time. There was a violent explosion. The mysterious ice rod and the scimitar shook violently. Lu Ming and Autumn Moon trembled and moved back 2 steps. After all, the Demon Divine General had the strength of the 5th Great Supreme God Layer. He was extremely strong. Even though he had been injured by the Bone Demon and couldn't completely suppress Lu Ming and Autumn Moon, he was still stronger than Lu Ming and Autumn Moon. Lu Ming and the others looked grave. If this continued, it would be very disadvantageous for them. If more people came from the Heavenly Palace, as soon as they had this thought, Lu Ming and the others' expressions changed drastically. Because not far from them, the starry sky rippled again and a group of celestial soldiers and divine generals appeared. This time, there were a lot of people. More than 100 people stepped out from the void. Boom boom, they were all celestial soldiers and divine generals. There were more than 100 of them. They all released powerful qi which swept across the sky. Lu Ming and the others' hearts sank. Some of the divine generals' qi was too terrifying. They were definitely stronger than the celestial human divine general. They had the strength of the 5th Great Supreme God Layer. There was even one who had the strength of the 5th Great Supreme God Layer. His qi could topple mountains and overturn seas. So many strong cultivators had come, they couldn't escape. Let's see how you can escape now. Die. The celestial human divine general laughed wildly. His face looked ferocious. Traitor, die! Shouted one of the divine generals. He immediately charged towards Lu Ming and the others. Die! Shouted the other celestial soldiers and divine generals. They all charged towards Lu Ming and the others. But in the next moment, something strange happened. Not far from them, the sky collapsed. A fist pierced through the sky. That fist was gigantic and covered with scales. It looked ferocious. Most importantly, that fist wasn't aimed at Lu Ming and the others. It was aimed at the celestial soldiers and divine generals. Who are you? How dare you attack the Heavenly Palace? You're courting death. Die! Shouted the celestial soldiers and divine generals. They all attacked the fist. Boom boom boom. A series of explosions rang out, and the huge fist was blocked. It quickly shrank and retreated. However, the attacks of the celestial soldiers and divine generals were also destroyed. How strong! A fist had destroyed the attacks of hundreds of celestial soldiers and divine generals, including some extremely powerful divine generals. Not only were the celestial soldiers and divine generals confused, but Lu Ming and the others were also confused. They didn't know who had attacked them. Who would save them at this time? The celestial soldiers and divine generals looked grim. "Who's there? Come out!" shouted a divine general. He stared at the direction where the fist had shrunk back. Crash! The void collapsed, and two figures appeared in that place. They were two burly men. They looked to be in their 30s. They were more than 3 meters tall and had a violent aura. Lu Ming and Autumn Moon were confused because they didn't know the two burly men. However, Lu Ming felt a familiar aura from the two burly men. Primitive divine spirits. It was the aura of the primitive divine spirits. Lu Ming felt the aura of the primitive divine spirits from the two men. However, it wasn't pure. Lu Ming guessed that the two men had cultivated the primitive divine body. He could tell this from the fist just now. "Who are you? How dare you attack the heavenly palace? Do you want to be killed?" shouted a divine general. "How arrogant! We're attacking the people of the heavenly palace." "Kill!" shouted one of the burly men. He took a step forward and his body swelled rapidly. He turned into a gigantic being that was 1,000,000 feet tall. This being was covered with scales. It was clearly the form of a primitive divine spirit. Roar! With a loud roar, the burly man made his move. Both of his fists blasted out consecutively, causing the entire starry sky to tremble. His might was extremely shocking. At the same time, another burly man made his move as well. This burly man transformed into an incomparably gigantic lion. With a roar, a terrifying sound wave spread out. Wherever it passed, large patches of starry skies would crumble apart. Chapter 4196. When the two strong men attacked, the celestial soldiers and godly generals of the heavenly palace were astonished. The two strong men's cultivation levels were terrifying. They both had the strength of the sixth great supreme god layer. Some of the strongest godly generals immediately realized that the two strong men had the strength of the sixth great supreme god layer. On the heavenly palace's side, there was only one cultivator of the sixth great supreme god layer. "Let's attack together and stop them. Their reinforcements will arrive soon. Then, they'll die," shouted the cultivator of the sixth great supreme god layer. He activated his battle armor and used his full strength at the same time. The other celestial soldiers and godly generals did the same. They gathered together and activated their battle armor. Boom, boom, boom. Intense rumbling sounds rang out. Intense fluctuations erupted in the starry sky. Dazzling light illuminated everything for billions of miles. In the end, the dazzling lights broke apart. Those lights were the attacks of the celestial soldiers and godly generals. They couldn't compete with them. The remaining strength bombarded them. Some of the first-class celestial soldiers were unable to block the powerful attack with just the first-class celestial soldier armor. The light barrier formed by the first-class celestial soldiers directly collapsed. Boom, boom, boom. Many first-level celestial soldiers exploded. Not even their bones remained. The stronger godly general's battle armor was powerful enough. Even though they hadn't exploded, they still staggered backwards. Only the godly general of the sixth great supreme god layer was safe and sound. The heavenly palace only had one cultivator of the sixth great supreme god layer. Of course, they couldn't block two of the great supreme god layer. In the great supreme god layer, having a large number of people was useless unless they had a great deployment spell. However, those godly generals and first-level celestial soldiers were scattered all over the place. They had never worked together before. How could they use a great deployment spell? How audacious! How dare you kill our heavenly palace's celestial soldiers? You're disgraceful! Shouted a heavenly human cultivator furiously. Heavenly palace? Hee, today, we're going to kill the heavenly palace's people. Of the two burly men, a green-skinned man sneered. He transformed into 1,000,000 feet tall and stepped into the void. Every step he took caused the void to tremble violently. Boom! He threw another punch. His fist was covered in scales. It pierced through the starry sky and contained destructive strength. It swept towards the heavenly palace's celestial soldiers and godly generals. At the same time, the other lion pounced and clawed at them. Horrible shrieks spread in the air. Celestial soldiers were killed again. Even the godly generals coughed blood. But they couldn't block godly generals and generals and generals and godly generals and generals and generals and godly generals and godly generals and generals. If this continued, the divine generals would also die. Damn it! Hurry up and spread the news. Call for help! Shouted godly generals, and godly generals' soldiers and generals' generals and generals'. Godly generals. You can't stop it. All of you will die. Godly generals. Really? Godly generals. Godly generals, heavenly palace, generals. Heavenly human god, heaven's god palace, heavenly palace, generals. It was a member of the heavenly human clan. He was tall and slender, with golden hair. He stood there with his hands clasped behind his back. He was just standing there casually, but he had the aura of a conqueror. Everyone stiffened under the pressure of that aura. They couldn't help but stop. Including Lu Ming, Qiu Autumn Moon, Qiu, and the godly generals of the heavenly human clan. Because that member of the heavenly human clan was a godly lord. Indeed, his aura was definitely that of a godly lord. Another godly lord had appeared in the heavenly palace. Lord of heaven! Shouted a godly general of the heavenly palace. He was extremely excited. Lord of heaven is here. You traitors are going to die. Ha, you dare attack the heavenly palace? You all deserve to die. Some heavenly soldiers and godly generals laughed. Lu Ming, Qiu Autumn Moon and the others' hearts sank. However, the expressions on the two burly men's faces were incomparably calm. It was as if they weren't facing a godly lord or a lord of heaven, but an ordinary person. Finally, a lord of heaven has appeared. Not bad. Not bad. The two burly men smiled. They looked very relaxed. This made the lord of heaven frown. His eyes were like lightning as he scanned the surroundings. Suddenly, the Lord of Heaven's eyes lit up like two burning suns. Hide in the dark. Come out. The Lord of Heaven said coldly. Then, he reached out and grabbed at the void. Boom! There was a huge explosion in the void. Everything was completely annihilated and turned into nothingness. No, there was still something that wasn't annihilated. It was a figure. It was an incomparably huge figure standing in the void. Just his head alone was larger than a star. As he stood in the starry sky, it seemed as though the stars in the sky were revolving around him. Primordial God Spirit. Lu Ming was dumbfounded. He stood there dumbfounded, his eyes widening. It was a primordial God Spirit. There was no mistake. It was a real primordial God Spirit, a pure primordial God Spirit. He didn't cultivate the primordial God body. A living primordial God Spirit. It was not just Lu Ming. Qiu Yu, as well as the heavenly soldiers and heavenly generals, widened their eyes. They stood rooted to the ground in shock. The primordial God Spirit wasn't a stranger to everyone in the primitive universe. It was like thunder in their ears. Most people cultivated God power. The source of God power was the power controlled by the primordial God Spirit. However, almost no one had seen the primordial God Spirit. The primordial God Spirit was just a legend. It had disappeared in the primitive universe for a long time. The incipient God era had become history. Some people said that the primordial God Spirit was extinct. There was no primordial God Spirit in the primitive universe. But now, a living primordial God Spirit had suddenly appeared. How could they not be shocked? You're from the primordial God Lake? The Lord of Heaven's pupils shrank as he spoke coldly. Lu Ming, Qiu Autumn Moon, and the others were shaken. Wasn't the place they wanted to go to the primordial God Lake? Did the experts from the primordial God Lake come to support them? They were overjoyed. That's right. We've waited for a Lord of Heaven. Today, I'm going to take your head back, the primordial God Spirit spoke. Before he could finish, he took action. He extended a giant hand, grabbing at the Lord of Heaven. The primordial God Spirit's hand shattered a large area of the starry sky. Wherever it passed, everything was destroyed. General of the defeated army, since you're here, I'll send you to reunite with your friends. The Lord of Heaven of the heavenly palace roared. He turned into a jet of brilliant light, shooting toward the primordial God Spirit. A giant sword light shot out, slashing at the primordial God Spirit. Boom! The earth-shattering collision exploded. The two peerless characters were fighting fiercely. The void had completely turned into primal chaos. Lu Ming and the others retreated crazily. They tried their best to keep a distance as they were afraid of getting involved. Chapter 4197. The starry sky was shaking, the stars were exploding, and the stars were extinguished one after another. The battle between the primordial God and the Lord of Heaven was too terrifying. That area was completely turned into chaos. Lu Ming and the others couldn't see what was happening inside. They could only vaguely see two figures fighting fiercely, but they couldn't tell who won and who lost, who had the upper hand, and who was suppressed. After a while, a shrill scream was heard, and then a figure flew out of the chaos. It was the Lord of Heaven in the heavenly palace. However, this heavenly monarch was in a very sorry state. His lower body was gone and had disappeared. Half of his head was gone, and his body was in tatters. The invincible demeanor he had before had long disappeared without a trace. There was fear in his remaining eye. He didn't dare to stay any longer, and he used all his strength to escape. In a flash, he disappeared from where he was. No one knew where he had escaped to. The heavenly soldiers and divine generals were dumbfounded. Was the Lord of Heaven defeated? Whoosh! At this moment, the primal chaos churned, and a humongous figure appeared. It was the primordial God. The primordial God was in a much better state than the Lord of Heaven. There were only a few more wounds on his body, but he didn't seem to be in a serious condition. Apparently, the primordial God had won. Run! At that moment, a divine general finally came to his senses and turned around to run. The Lord of Heaven had escaped after being defeated. Wouldn't it be suicide for them to face a living primordial God? All the heavenly soldiers and divine generals were horrified. Even the divine general of the heavenly human race who attacked Lu Ming and the others in the morning was the same. His eyes were full of fear, and he fled frantically. He couldn't care less about Lu Ming and the others. Humph! The primordial God snorted, as if because the Lord of Heaven had escaped. He was very unhappy. As he snorted, an invisible ripple spread out, and the fleeing celestial soldiers and divine generals suddenly stopped. Their bodies stiffened in the air, their eyes filled with fear. No! You won't have a good ending for offending my heavenly human tribe. Ah, then, blood-curdling screams were heard. One by one, the celestial soldiers and divine generals were reduced to ashes. Yes, they were directly turned into ashes. Even their armor and divine weapons were turned into ashes. They couldn't resist at all. However, Lu Ming, Qiu Yu, and the others were completely fine. It was as if a gust of wind had brushed past them. What terrifying strength! Lu Ming and the others sucked in a breath of cold air. With a cold snort, those celestial soldiers and divine generals were reduced to ashes before they could even make a move. Some of those godly generals had the strength of the sixth great supreme god layer, and they were wearing powerful battle armor, but it was useless. The gap between them was just too big. From this, one could see just how powerful a divine master was. There was an insurmountable gap between a great supreme god and a divine master. Moreover, the primitive divine spirit in front of them was extremely powerful, even among divine masters. I've read about the primitive divine spirit before. It said that when the primitive divine spirit was born, even the weakest primitive divine spirit had the cultivation of the divine emperor realm. With a little bit of cultivation, they could easily reach the great supreme god realm. Some talented primitive divine spirits could easily reach the divine master realm if they worked hard. This primitive divine spirit is probably one of the most talented among the primitive divine spirits. This information appeared in Lu Ming's mind. Killing those celestial soldiers and divine generals seemed like a trivial matter to the primitive divine spirit. Then, he looked at Qiu Yu and asked, "Your divine Lord Dream Void's disciples?" "That's right, Senior. My teacher is being surrounded by the experts of the Heavenly Palace. Senior, please help us," Qiu Yu hurriedly said. The other two disciples of Divine Lord Dream Void also hurriedly asked for help. "Don't worry about Divine Lord Dream Void. We'll send someone else to rescue him. We can't stay here for long. I'll take you away first." With that, the primitive divine spirit waved his hand and a powerful force swept toward Lu Ming's group. This force was ancient and filled with the aura of time, as if it had come from the ancient universe. What rich divine power! Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. He also felt that this force was a kind of divine power, but it was incomparably ancient and powerful, and incomparably pure. This is the source of divine power. When a divine power is cultivated to the highest level and awakens all the origin divine power factors, it's probably in this state. Lu Ming's mind was filled with all kinds of thoughts. While Lu Ming was thinking about all sorts of things, the force had already engulfed them. In a flash, they disappeared from their original spot. The primitive divine spirit carried them at an incredible speed, breaking through the void and traversing countless galaxies and star fields in an instant. It was like riding a wormhole. In less than 10 minutes, the surrounding environment changed and Lu Ming's group appeared on a vast land. Lu Ming looked around and found that they were in a mountain range. This mountain range was majestic and mighty, vast and filled with an ancient aura. This aura was as if this land had been passed down from the beginning of the universe. This aura is very similar to the aura of the primitive divine spirit world. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. He had been to the primitive divine spirit world before. There were 13 famed mountains there, and each famed mountain had given birth to a primitive divine spirit. Lu Ming found that the aura here was very similar to that world. However, it was also different. The ancient aura of this world was even richer and more intense. "This is the primitive divine lake." A deep voice sounded. It was the primitive divine spirit. At this moment, his body had shrunk and turned into a burly man filled with a domineering aura. Junior Autumn Moon greets Senior. Junior Lu Ming greets Senior. Junior. Lu Ming and the others hurriedly cupped their fists and bowed. This was a genuine primitive divine spirit. Primitive divine spirits were born at the beginning of the universe. In other words, this being in front of them had been alive since the beginning of the universe. How long had that been? Could a primitive divine spirit live for so long? It was almost coexisting with the universe. Facing such a being, they did not dare to be careless. "You're welcome. Follow me into the city. Your master should be here soon," the primitive divine spirit said, then stepped into the air and headed in a direction. Lu Ming and the others followed and found that there was a huge city in front of the mountain range. It lay between the universe and was even more majestic than the mountain range. Lu Ming was curious. He did not know what kind of world the primitive divine lake was. It even had a real primitive divine spirit. Chapter 4198. Soon, the primordial divine spirit led them into the city. The huge city was very big, and there were many buildings inside. One could see that there were many people here, and it was a sea of people. Lu Ming and the rest flew across the sky in a flash. They did not alarm the people below. In the center of the city was a huge mountain that pierced the sky. It stood out like a crane in a flock of chickens. Some buildings could be seen on the peak of the mountain. Lu Ming and the others landed on a flat piece of land on the mountain peak. It was very quiet and there was no one here. "This is my cultivation ground. From now on, all of you will stay here." "Surely, wait a moment, bring them in." The primordial divine spirit ordered one of the muscular men. "Yes, Lord Incipient God." One of the muscular men bowed and accepted the order. "They're here." At this moment, the primordial divine spirit looked at the void. Whoosh! The void split open and 3 figures appeared. One of them was God Lord Dream Void. However, she was in a sorry state and her aura was weak. Her clothes were stained with blood. Even with God Lord Dream Void's strength, she was in such a sorry state. One could imagine how intense the battle had been. Beside God Lord Dream Void was a middle-aged man and woman. His appearance looked very ordinary, but the aura on his body was incomparably terrifying. Although they did not deliberately release their auras, Lu Ming was still shocked. It was like an invincible existence was standing in the void. God Lords. These two were definitely God Lords. Lu Ming's heart thumped. He had a new understanding of the primordial divine lake's strength. So far, there were 3 God Lords. With such strength, even in the primitive universe, he would be ranked very high. Generally speaking, only the top 100 races of the primitive universe's 10,000 races list had God Lords. Moreover, the lower-ranked races usually only had 1 God Lord. Of course, there were exceptions. For example, some weaker races would occasionally have a God Lord, but such situations were rare. The primordial divine lake already had 3. The strength of the other 2 was unknown because he had not seen them fight. However, the one who brought Lu Ming and the others back was definitely terrifying. He had almost left a Lord of Heaven behind. God Lord Dream Void and the other 2 appeared on the mountain peak in a flash. "Master, are you okay?" Xiao Yu and the other 2 quickly went over and asked in concern. "I'm fine." God Lord Dream Void smiled. She was relieved to see that the 3 of them were fine. God Lord Dream Void glanced at Lu Ming but did not pay him much attention. She thought that Lu Ming was from the primordial divine lake. "Dream Void, you really are the Lord's heart?" There was a look of anticipation in the eyes of the primitive god who had brought Lu Ming and the rest here. The other 2 divine lord experts did the same. Lu Ming was curious. What kind of legendary object was the Lord of God's heart that could make the Lord of Gods look forward to it? "That's right, I've brought it out," God Lord Dream Void said. She then looked at the 3 of them. Autumn Moon nodded. With a wave of her hand, a metal box flew out. This metal box was covered in runes that sealed it. "You guys, step back." God Lord Dream Void said. She was talking to the three of them. She was talking to the three of them. Lu Ming, Autumn Moon, and the others all stepped back. The primordial divine spirit waved his hand and a light screen appeared in front of Lu Ming and the others, protecting them. God Lord Dream Void began to break the seal on the metal box. Soon, the seal was broken and the metal box opened. Dong dong dong. As soon as the metal box was opened, Lu Ming heard a series of sounds that sounded like war drums. Every thud caused the void to tremble. Lu Ming felt that his heart was trembling as well, as if it was about to explode. At the same time, a tide-like aura rushed out of the metal box. It was incomparably terrifying. In the next instant, a dazzling blood-red light shot out of the metal box. The Divine Lords quickly took action and sealed the void so that the blood-red light could not shine out. Otherwise, the entire city would be alarmed. Then, a ball of red light flew out of the metal box. A heart. Is that the main god's heart? Lu Ming opened his eyes wide. He realized that it was a heart that had flown out of the metal box. A heart the size of a human head was still beating, as if it was alive. One could see that there were dense runes covering the heart, which should be sealing the heart. However, even with the seal, there was still a terrifying and boundless aura emanating from it. Lu Ming felt his body tremble. He couldn't help but step back. His body felt like it was about to explode. Facing this heart was like facing an incomparably terrifying and tyrannical existence. Xiao Yu and the others weren't any better. They couldn't help but step back. Even the two strong men of the sixth great supreme god layer were the same. They were still under the protection of the original godly spirit's energy. Otherwise, they wouldn't have been able to resist it. What a terrifying qi. Why do I feel that this qi is even stronger than the Divine Lords and the Lord of Heaven's qi? It's much stronger. A thought emerged in Lu Ming's mind. Then, he was stunned by the thought. Could it be that this was a heart that was even stronger than the Divine Lords? But didn't the original universe say that the Divine Lords were the strongest? Could there be someone stronger than the Divine Lords? The main god's heart? A main god? What is a main god? Is it a kind of original godly spirit? Various thoughts appeared in Lu Ming's mind. The qi emitted by the heart was very similar to the original godly spirit's qi. However, it was very ancient and terrifying. It's really the main god's heart. That's great. The original godly spirit was pleasantly surprised and excited. Not bad. With the main god's heart, the original godly lake can cultivate with it. Our strength will definitely increase and many experts will be born. The other Divine Lord middle-aged woman was also pleasantly surprised. Meng Su, we really have to thank you this time. After a while, the Divine Lords calmed down and one of them thanked God Meng Su solemnly. You're welcome. The main god's heart originally belonged to the original godly spirit. It was just sealed in the heavenly palace. Moreover, the heavenly palace has done a lot of evil. They're our common enemy. I brought it out to increase your strength. In the future, you'll have a better chance of dealing with the heavenly palace. God Meng Su said. No matter what, we still have to thank you. Meng Su, you're badly injured. You should hurry up and heal. The Divine Lord middle-aged woman said. God Meng Su nodded. Then, he told the three Divine Lords to stay here for the time being. After that, the God Lords and God Lord Dream Void left the place. Only Lu Ming, Qiao Moon, and the two Divine Lords of the sixth great supreme God layer were left on the mountain peak. Chapter 4199. Everyone, come with us. We'll take you to where you'll be staying. A brawny man smiled. Thank you. Lu Ming smiled. The two brawny men led the way while Lu Ming and the others followed behind. Along the way, Lu Ming and the others asked about the primordial divine lake. The primordial divine lake is a huge world. Many primordial divine spirits were born in this world countless years ago. Therefore, the people in the primordial divine lake are either the descendants of the primordial divine spirits or those who cultivate the primordial divine body, a brawny man explained. His name was Shirley. Why does this world look so similar to the primordial divine spirit world? Lu Ming's heart stirred. He was very curious. Can you see a lake over there? Shirley pointed to the west. Lu Ming and the group looked into the distance. They were on the top of the mountain and their position was very high. After taking a closer look, they could indeed see that there seemed to be a lake in the west of the city. It was just that this lake was so huge that one couldn't see the end of it. It was like an ocean. It could be seen that the enormous city was built on the edge of a lake. That lake is the primordial divine lake. There's a city in each of the 4 directions of the primordial divine lake. We're in one of them. This mountain peak is the core of this city. Some of the most powerful divine masters live at the peak of this mountain. Therefore, ordinary people are unable to come up to this mountain peak. It is very quiet here, and no one will disturb you, Shirley explained. Lu Ming was even more shocked after hearing Shirley's explanation. If there were 4 such cities, then how many divine master realm experts were there in those cities? According to Shirley's words, some of the most powerful divine masters, there must be many divine masters in the primordial divine lake. Then, Lu Ming sensed the environment carefully. The divine qi here was unimaginably rich. It was even richer than when the Dragon Clan's mother planet was revived. Moreover, the place was filled with an ancient aura. It was the aura of the primordial divine spirits. Those who cultivated divine power would definitely improve quickly if they cultivated here. For example, if his past self cultivated here, he would definitely be blessed by nature. Should I let my past self cultivate here? Lu Ming pondered. The 36 array discs in his hand could open a wormhole to the Dragon Clan's mother planet. Not only could it allow outsiders to enter the mother planet of the dragon race, it could also allow the mother planet of the dragon race to exit. After he opened the wormhole and connected the dragon race's mother planet to this place, he could let his past self come here. Let's wait. We're new here. Let's talk about it after we settle down. Lu Ming thought. Soon, they arrived in front of a courtyard. You can stay here for now. If there's anything, you can send us a message. This is my contact number. Shirley took out a voice transmission jade talisman and exchanged some contact information with Lu Ming and the others. The people of the primitive divine lake were enemies with the heavenly palace. Naturally, they would not use the dreamy heavenly jade. Lu Ming and the others stayed here for the night, while Shirley and the other 2 left. Dream Sky City, in a huge hall. Primordial divine lake, dream void, a cold voice came from the hall, full of anger. At the same time, it was accompanied by a terrifying aura, causing the people around the hall to tremble. Because this was the aura of the Lord of Heaven. A Lord of Heaven was furious. And that traitor heavenly soldier, have you found out? What's his background? In the hall, a Lord of Heaven said coldly. Yes, that heavenly soldier is called Mu Yun. He's a very powerful sky pride. Even Yi Yu was defeated by him. Someone below answered. To be able to defeat Yi Yu, that's rare. But no matter how strong he is, it's useless if he can't be used by me. Where did he come from? A Lord of Heaven asked. From the Fengdu Sword sect of the Iron Sea Star Region Group. Someone below answered. Iron Sea Star Region Group. Fengdu Sword Sect. Pass down my order. From today onwards, Fengdu Sword Sect will cease to exist. A Lord of Heaven gave the order. Yes. Someone immediately accepted the order, a cold light flashed in his eyes. If there was no need to exist, then it would naturally be destroyed. Lord of Heaven, I've also found out that Mu Yun seems to be very close to a sky pride of the World Turtle Clan and the Elf Princess. How should we deal with him? Someone else asked. Very close? What do you mean? A Lord of Heaven frowned and asked. It's because they were very close to each other when they were participating in the Heavenly Soldier assessment and often acted together. In addition, that Mu Yun seems to be the fiancé of the elf princess Ling Yue. Someone answered. Hee, the elf clan, a Lord of Heaven sneered, his eyes cold. It's not the right time to touch the elf clan or the World Turtle Clan. Send someone to monitor them first. If there's any movement, report it immediately. A Lord of Heaven said. Yes. Someone accepted the order. Everyone, Lord of Heaven, how should we deal with that Mu Yun? Someone else asked. He entered the heavenly palace, became a heavenly soldier, and put on the heavenly soldier armor. Where else can he escape to? Immediately call a divine master over and activate the restrictive power of the heavenly soldier armor to kill Mu Yun. A Lord of Heaven ordered. Yes, Lord of Heaven. Someone accepted the order and left. Not long after, a white-haired old man entered the hall. This was a divine master. The divine masters of the heavenly palace were responsible for refining all kinds of divine armors, battle suits, and inscribing all kinds of formation and restrictive power. They were also able to activate the restrictive power inside the armor. Everyone, Lord of Heaven, the traitor who betrayed the heavenly palace must die. This subordinate will activate the restrictive power and kill that traitor. The white-haired divine master bowed and immediately began to make his move. As he performed a series of hand seals, strange runes began to appear in his hands and swirl around like little snakes, as if they had come to life. He was activating the restrictive power inside the heavenly soldier armor. However, after a while, the white-haired divine master's face became more and more solemn and ugly. After a while, his expression was no longer ugly. Instead, it was gloomy. In the hall, the gazes of the Lord of Heaven also darkened. After a while, the white-haired divine master stopped and let out a long breath. His eyes were filled with uncertainty. What's going on? A Lord of Heaven asked. It's useless. The restrictive power has lost its effect. I can't sense it at all, the white-haired divine master said. Get to the point. One of the heaven monarchs frowned and said coldly. In other words, the restrictive power in Mu Yun's body has been refined and destroyed. The white-haired divine master said with a grave expression. What? How is that possible? A few exclamations sounded. In the hall, a total of 5 Lord of Heaven stood up together, and a terrifying aura emanated from their bodies. Many people below didn't even dare to breathe loudly. They were under great pressure. Chapter 4200. The faces of the 5 heavenly lords were dark and gloomy. Isn't the prohibition power in the heavenly soldier armor indestructible? One of the Lord of Heaven asked coldly. The white-haired priest broke out in a cold sweat under the pressure of the 5 Lord of Heaven. That's right. The power of the seals in the celestial battle armor can be distributed to every cell. Even a divine lord would find it difficult to destroy them. There's only one way to destroy the power of the seals on the celestial battle armor. The white-haired priest paused, his eyes filled with shock. A forbidden body. One of the Lord of Heaven said coldly, his eyes filled with murderous intent. The other 4 Lord of Heaven did the same, their eyes filled with murderous intent. They knew that only a priest from the heavenly palace could destroy the prohibition power in the heavenly soldier armor. Otherwise, there was only one other possibility, a forbidden body. They knew about the forbidden body and the mysteries of the forbidden power. The forbidden power could be distributed to every cell, so it was not difficult to destroy the prohibition power in the heavenly soldier armor. I didn't expect Mu Yun to have a forbidden body. No wonder he's so strong and can defeat Yi Yu. Another Lord of Heaven said coldly. There's Lu Ming in the Dragon Clan's mother planet, and there's Mu Yun outside. Two forbidden bodies, another Lord of Heaven said with a gloomy face. Two people with the forbidden physique had appeared in the same era. This was not a good sign. The forbidden body was a great enemy of the heavenly palace, and they had to be taken down. We can't let go of the forbidden body. We have to take it down. Moreover, the Lord God's heart is at the primordial divine lake, which will increase their strength. We can't let them, primordial divine lake. How dare you? Don't think we don't know where you are. It seems like the heavenly palace hasn't made a move for many years, and these people are getting bolder. Spread the news and gather a portion of the divine masters. We can't let this matter rest. The Lord of Heaven spoke with icy murderous intents. Lu Ming was completely unaware that the fact that he possessed a taboo physique had been exposed. After resting for a day, he had recovered to his peak condition. This primitive divine lake world is very similar to the primitive divine spirit world. The people here are either the descendants of the primitive divine spirit or those who cultivate the primitive divine body. This is interesting. Why don't we go and take a look? The more Lu Ming thought about it, the more curious he became. Immediately, he pulled Autumn Moon and Autumn Moon's two senior sisters down the mountain, intending to walk around and broaden his horizons. Autumn Moon and Lu Ming had not seen each other for many years. Naturally, he did not have any objections. As for the two senior sisters from Autumn Moon, they were very curious about this place and naturally agreed. The four of them walked down the mountain. Not long after, they arrived at the foot of the mountain. Then, they flew into the distance. In front of them, they could see many tall buildings and a large crowd. Boom! Suddenly, Lu Ming and the rest discovered that there was a violent roar in the sky in front of them. Streaks of terrifying force swept in all directions. In the sky, two huge figures appeared and were fighting fiercely. The two figures were extremely huge. They were more than 10 million feet tall. The two huge figures were fighting fiercely in the sky. Are they primitive divine spirits? One of Autumn Moon's senior sisters exclaimed. No, their auras aren't rich and pure enough. They aren't real primitive divine spirits. They should be the descendants of the primitive divine spirits, Lu Ming explained. His past self cultivated the universe myriad Tao technique. He cultivated various divine powers and primitive divine power. He even cultivated the primitive divine blood. Hence, he knew the primitive divine spirits very well. The two people fighting before him were not pure primitive divine spirits. They should be the descendants of the primitive divine spirits or experts who cultivated the primitive divine body. These two beings were very powerful. They had definitely reached the high level of the divine emperor. However, there was no killing intent between them. They were probably just sparring. Sure enough, the two sides fought for a while, but there was no clear victor. Then, they turned into two burly men, laughed, and flew to a place and disappeared. The other people around them were also not surprised by this. What a strange place. Autumn Moon mumbled. It is indeed strange. Let's go and take a look. Lu Ming and the others sped up. However, they were stopped when they approached a bustling area. 5 young men stood in front of Lu Ming and the rest. The 5 young men looked to be in their 20s. They scanned Lu Ming and the others. When their eyes fell on Autumn Moon and the others, they were stunned. Who are you? I haven't seen you before. A young man with red hair was the first to speak. We just came to the primitive divine lake not long ago. My master is a friend of the primitive divine lake. One of Autumn Moon's senior sisters replied. Oh, so you are outsiders. You just came to the primitive divine lake. The 5 young men looked at each other and smiled. Ladies, you have just arrived at the primordial divine emperor. I believe you are not familiar with the environment here. Why don't you let us bring you around for a tour? The young man with red hair said with a smile. His eyes kept wandering between Autumn Moon and Autumn Moon's senior sisters. Qiu Yu and Qiu Yu's 2 senior sisters were undoubtedly rare women in the world. They were peerlessly beautiful and peerlessly beautiful. This was especially true for Qiu Yu. She had a unique temperament that could involuntarily attract the attention of others. Lu Ming frowned. He knew what these young men were up to. How could he let them have designs on Autumn Moon? No need. We can walk around on our own. Lu Ming said and refused. The 5 young men's faces darkened immediately. They looked at Lu Ming coldly. Did I talk to you? I'm talking to the 3 ladies. What does it have to do with you? The red-haired young man said coldly. What he says is what I say. Autumn Moon grabbed Lu Ming's hand and said. Autumn Moon's words and Autumn Moon's actions were a slap in the face. The young men's faces darkened. Kid, why don't you look at yourself in the mirror? Who do you think you are to walk with the 3 ladies? That's right. Besides, you're too greedy. You'd better give up a few of them if you want to eat all 3 of them. That's right. If you know what's good for you, you'd better get out of here. Otherwise, I don't know what will happen to you. The young men said one after another. Their threats were self-evident. However, did Lu Ming grow up in fear? Obviously not. What if I don't leave? Lu Ming said calmly. Brat, don't be too thick-skinned. I'll tell you bluntly, the 3 ladies are all peerless beauties. How can you be worthy of them? If you walk together with them, you'll be sullying them. Do you understand? The red-haired young man shouted. If I'm not worthy, do you think you're worthy? Lu Ming sneered. Chapter 42:01. Of course we're good enough for her. Shouted the red-haired young man. You? Hee, forgive me for being blunt, but you're too weak. You can't even compare to my finger. Said Lu Ming shaking his head disdainfully. You, the 5 young men's faces turned red, and they glared at Lu Ming furiously. Boom! One of the young men exuded a powerful aura, forming a powerful pressure that pressed down on Lu Ming. 8th Godly Emperor Layer. The young man had the cultivation of the 8th Divine Emperor realm. He took a step forward and the air shook. Then, he threw a punch at Lu Ming. I'll show you who's good enough for her and who's not. His voice and his fist arrived in front of Lu Ming at the same time, aiming at Lu Ming's face. Being able to break through to the 8th Godly Emperor layer wasn't bad at all, so he was very arrogant. However, in front of Lu Ming, such a cultivation level was really not enough. Lu Ming waved his hand and slapped him as if he was swatting a fly. Instantly, there was a strong gust of wind and a terrifying force swept out. With a cracking sound, the other party's fist bones shattered. He screamed and his body flew backward, crashing onto the ground below and vomiting a mouthful of blood. You're so weak and you want to talk about being good enough for me? Said Lu Ming indifferently. He didn't try to hide his mockery. Normally, Lu Ming wouldn't make fun of other people, but when it came to his women, it was a different matter. He and Qiu Moon had been separated for so many years, they had just met again, and that young man was trying to steal her away. How could he be happy? The other 4 young men's expressions changed drastically. They hadn't thought that Lu Ming would be so strong. That young man couldn't withstand a single attack from Lu Ming. They knew very well that although the young man was only at the 8th Divine Emperor realm, he could fight someone who was 3 levels higher than him. He was considered a top genius. Not many people in the Divine Emperor realm could be his match. However, he had been sent flying by Lu Ming's slap. Lu Ming's battle prowess was somewhat unexpected. So you've already broken through to the 9th godly emperor layer, no wonder you're so arrogant. But let me tell you, even if you're at the same cultivation level, there's a huge difference in fighting abilities. Let me show you what real fighting abilities are. The red-haired young man's eyes were filled with a cold light. He stepped out, and his powerful aura exploded. 9th godly emperor layer. The red-haired young man had the strength of the 9th godly emperor layer. A layer of red heat spread out from his body. It was extremely hot, and it burned the void within a radius of dozens of meters into pitch black. That was because the space had been burned. It was pitch black, and there was nothing there. Kill! The red-haired youth shouted as he punched out at Lu Ming. The instant he punched out, his fist rapidly grew in size. A layer of fiery red hair appeared on his fist, and there were also fiery red flames burning on the hair. A fist the size of a small mountain pressed down. Before it even arrived, the scorching flames seemed like they were going to burn Lu Ming. However, Lu Ming's expression didn't change at all. He was calm and indifferent. Lu Ming didn't fear anyone at the same cultivation level as him. He had already reached the limit of the godly emperor layer. 9 layers was the limit, and it was difficult to surpass it. Unless someone could surpass 10 layers, but according to Gu Mo, that was impossible. Boom! Lu Ming casually slapped the fiery red fist. There was a loud bang and the flames were extinguished. The red-haired young man retreated a few thousand meters before he could stabilize himself. He seemed to be in a sorry state. "That's all you've got?" said Lu Ming indifferently. "You want to die?" shouted the red-haired young man furiously. He had wanted to show off in front of the beautiful women of the Autumn Moon Festival, but in the end, he had been humiliated. Roar! He let out a roar, and then his body expanded rapidly, becoming 1,000,000 meters tall. He stood tall, and his head reached into the sky. He was a giant ape. The red-haired young man turned into a 1,000,000 zhang tall giant ape. His body was covered in red flames, and his aura was wild. Primitive divine body, no, it's primitive divine blood. Lu Ming's heart stirred. He could tell that the red-haired young man had refined more than 1 drop of primitive divine blood. There's a big battle over there. It seems to be Yuan Jin. It's him. I heard that he has refined 88 drops of primitive divine blood. Let's go and take a look. Let's go. The red-haired young man became 1,000,000 zhang tall, and the surrounding area was alarmed. Many people flew over. Boom! A long red rod appeared in the red-haired young man's hand, and he smashed it at Lu Ming. The fiery red staff was as huge as a mountain. He can fight someone who is 4 levels above him. Lu Ming saw the red-haired young man's attack, and he had a rough idea of his combat strength. He was calculating how much strength he should use. Then, Lu Ming threw out a punch. Lu Ming used the great fragmentation skill in this punch. Lu Ming's tiny fist and the red long rod that was as big as a mountain swelled together. Crack! There was no loud explosion. When the 2 attacks collided, the red rod was covered with cracks, and then it exploded with a bang. Then, the fist force continued to hit the red-haired young man's body. The red-haired young man screamed. His chest was penetrated by the fist force, and there was a hole in his chest. The red-haired young man's body was like a deflated balloon, and he quickly shrank back to his original size. He was pushed back dozens of miles, and he spat out blood. What? Yuan Jin was defeated in 1 move? The surrounding people could not help but widen their eyes, their faces filled with disbelief. Yuan Jin was considered a rather famous genius at the primordial divine lake. Many people knew him, and they even knew of his combat strength. Among the divine emperors, only a few people could suppress Yuan Jin. No one dared to say that they could defeat him. However, Yuan Jin was defeated in one move. And it was a stranger. Who is he? Is he a new genius at the primitive sacred lake? But why don't I feel the aura of a primitive divine spirit from him? He is really strong. He can defeat Yuan Jin in one move. Is he able to fight someone who is 4.5 levels above him, or even 5 levels above him? The people around started to talk about it. Now, who is qualified? Lu Ming looked at Yuan Jin indifferently. Puff! Yuan Jin was so angry that he spat out another mouthful of blood. The other 3 young men were pale, and they did not dare to say a word. They were not as strong as Yuan Jin, and they would be defeated if they went up. Wait and see. Someone will take care of you, the red-haired young man pointed at Lu Ming and shouted. Oh, you want to call for help? Well, I will wait here. Call for help. As long as it is a fight between people of the same level, I will accept it. Lu Ming said, and his voice spread in all directions. You're tuning in to the Xiaofan's Wuxia Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.